I love it. I love it. I love it. You couldn't hear it because I was fucking it up. So I haven't used one of these since kindergarten. Should we try it? Kyrie saying, eat your heart out. Let's see. Recorder. All right, ready? No, wait. Oh, wait. Oh, I gotta put my finger on the hole. I told you I would get one. Now I got to learn how to do it. I've been playing since kindergarten, but hey, I told you I'd do it. So we'll see next week. We'll see next week. Very easy to play. I mean, I think I played that in kindergarten or first grade. They even give you this thing because spit builds up inside. You use like a towel or a sock or something like that. Yeah. Friday night sucks, man. We're all home. For those live, we're all home. Not doing nothing tonight. And Jay Shady right away. Throwing, what an apropos name. Jay Shady. Throwing shade on yours truly. You got to love this guy. But, look, hey, if people want to send the messages, I will answer the messages. And what does he ask over here? What's this over here? Does the Bronx... Do the MILFs stink like Bronx fish? Well, to be honest with you, I haven't fooled around with a MILF in over a decade. I could tell you that some women definitely smell like, what do they say, salmon, Lindbergh? I mean, I don't know, man. But I hope everybody is doing well. I hope everybody in the Northeast is safe. Man, we got COVID. Now we got this nor'easter, whatever you want to call it, tropical storm Amy. My place is flooded. I don't mean inside my place, but in front of my house, the grass, you step in it, it looks like one of those slip and slides. Internet was out for about an hour earlier, and I was actually a little bit nervous if we were going to be doing the show tonight, but I am here. SmackDown just went off the air. Tonight's episode of SmackDown was more like filler. We have Extreme Rules next Sunday, so you shouldn't have expected all that much tonight. I know a lot of people were anticipating the New Day taking on Cesaro and Nakamura. It ends with a table disqualification. Extreme Rules next weekend. Extreme Rules, tables. Tables match between New Day versus Cesaro and Nakamura for the tag titles of Extreme Rules? I think so. I think that's probably the way they go. They go off the air. WWE it's not hard to figure things out. I think that's where we're going. And if you actually notice Extreme Rules, is it just me or does it feel like Extreme Rules is very SmackDown heavy? I mean, I know we got Ziggler and McIntyre and some others, but it feels very SmackDown heavy. We don't even know if AJ Styles and Matt Riddle will clash at Extreme Rules. Yes, they announced the match for next Friday, the 2 days before Extreme Rules. I don't know what kind of an outcome you're to expect next Friday, but still, nonetheless, hey, I'm going into this pay-per-view with an open mind. I know the swamp match sounds iffy, especially that it's non-title, so I think we could almost all bet the ranch that Bray Wyatt is going to win this one. We also got the eye for an eye match, and they're using CIG or CGIs, and I know there's a lot of people out there, they think they're cool, all of a sudden writing, they're going to do CGIs in that match. You want to see something funny, go on YouTube and search the top 50 worst CGIs of all time in movies. And when you see Shangada stuff from Braveheart to Jumanji or whatever the freak that name is, just because it's CGI doesn't mean it's going to be all that spectacular. So C-Med says I look like I could wear a fanny pack. Maybe. I don't know. I'm wearing a shirt that is 22 years old. This is my original ECW hardcore tour. You know, this was from 1998. I don't think you would see this one around. Hopefully you didn't see my shorts. You know, I'm just wearing a couple of retro things. But now everybody's asking about things that stink in my neck of the woods. I don't go around Coney Island. Coney Island is not one of the safest places to go. I know they have the Coney Island rides, and I went there maybe 10 years ago. But Coney Island, I really don't know if it stinks. Maybe right now, if the sewers are backed up, you know, there's a lot of people around that smell like shit. And you know what? I'm equal opportunity. I live in Howard Beach, Queens. And it's not, you know, predominantly Italian anymore, but at one point it was heavy, heavy Italian. And I can tell you firsthand, and I swear on a stack of Bibles, I'll never do another show again, that I could go, you know, into like a cafe or a deli or a bank. And if you unfortunately are surrounded from elderly Italians, I swear to God, I can't say who it is, but I have someone who is not related to me from blood, but related to me through marriage of a family member, not my parents, and he was brought up to not use deodorant. He does not believe in deodorant. And I swear to fucking God, when this guy shows up and he's around me, I can't even describe. Like, I've actually taken steps back and tried to think of the worst smelling meats and rotted fish. And this guy, he sweats. He looks like Vern Gagne, believe it or not. I would love to put a picture of him up here. But I actually got family members that once in a while check out my shows. And if they happen to see this, they're probably saying right now, yeah, he does smell like shit. But they're probably pissed off that I'm bringing this up as well. Oh, no, pastrami doesn't smell all that bad. You know, I brought up this story once, and this is a God-honest true story. I was going fishing in Hempstead Lake State Park about 15 years ago. And I don't know what happened. Me and my friend Kenny, God rest his soul, we were going to go fishing. And freshwater, Hempstead Lake State Park. We were going to go freshwater fishing. And we had night crawlers. And night crawls are the worms that you put on the hook. And then you add a float to it and you cast it. And basically, you just wait and see what happens. So my car had broken down, and I didn't have a car that I can actually use. So my friend Billy wasn't doing nothing. I said, Billy, can I borrow your El Dorado? I want to go fishing with Kenny. And he's like, you know, what time are you going to be back? I said, I don't know, 5, 6 o'clock at night. He's like, all right, no problem. He's just drive careful. So I borrowed his car, and we went fishing. Everything was pretty good. We gave him the car back. About a week or two later, he said to me I owed him $100. And I said, for what? And this is the God-honest truth. I left in the trunk of his car a whole tub of night crawlers. Like, when we went to the bait shop, we bought like 2 or 3 white, you know, styrofoam canisters of night crawlers, and I left one accidentally in the trunk of the car, and it was the summertime. So just imagine 100-degree heat and loads of worms with no place to go other than worm heaven. It smelled like death. I mean, if you remember the scene in Goodfellas where they're hosing down the car, that's what he had to do. He had to bring it to a detail shop. They thought that he killed someone, had a dead person in the car. Just a little thing of night crawlers, bait. This guy smells close to that. You ever smell someone who's... Look at the wrestlers. You know, people are like, oh, could you imagine what Great Khali used to smell like, or Andre the Giant, or others? You know, I don't know. But do you ever wonder if these wrestlers that sweat beads and just like really sweat profusely, you know, do you think they use like a lot of deodorant before the match? Do you think they spray their whole body with it? Do you think they ribbed people and didn't purposely spray deodorant for like 2 weeks and then have the match? The worst part is wrestling someone and putting him in a headlock. And I've only had 3 matches in my lifetime. And one time, it came so close to happening to me, and I had joked about it on my hotline so many times back in the day. And it was hilarious because the this one guy, had somebody in a headlock. And then this was the match, anybody remembers VPW, where I got wrapped in styrofoam and I acted like I couldn't breathe and I passed out and everything. Well, early on in the night, I was put in a headlock. And I don't know if it was sabotage. I don't remember who the wrestler was, but he was sweating profusely. And I was looking up, and I swear to God, it was almost like in slow motion. You saw this big bead of sweat go from his forehead, down his nose, down his chin, and it's building up over there. Ever happened to any of you out there? You stand outside and you feel the sweat like it's just hanging out and it's building, and for some reason, science can't explain it. It doesn't like fall off right away. It waits until it builds up like a whole army of sweat. And I looked at it and I turned away, and I swear the fucking sweat, I think I got it on video too. And I haven't it stored away on DVD. If it's on video, I'll show you. You'll see me turn away and this big sweat like right on my forehead. And if I would have kept straight, it would have fell right into my mouth. Imagine these wrestlers that are put in headlocks in the summertime and they're laying up and they're writhing in pain, and you see sweat from the other person just dripping into their mouth. Yummy. Speaking of yummy, this isn't even a segue. Like, what'd you think of that SmackDown karaoke tonight? Two of the 4 women that we hadn't seen on TV for a little while. I had this list of wrestlers who have not appeared on WWE television in the ring or around ringside since COVID. And, I had Naomi and Dana Brooke on the list, and they show up today. So I'm like, man, now I got to tweak my list and everything. I did a little research. Some people posted some partial lists out there. I took note of a bunch of people who we have not seen on television since the latest breakout of COVID. And the thing that is very interesting is that some people that are not on television, you can't jump the gun and speculate if they had COVID or not. But the thing that's very interesting is that WWE is doing all of this testing now. Better late than never. I'll keep saying it for months. It was a tax write-off. I don't know why they took shortcuts. They should have over-tested and bragged about it and show, the business world that, is safety first, and it isn't just about wiping ropes and changing microphone foam pads and stuff like that. But the thing is that they're now testing like crazy. So everybody who is on the roster and employees have been tested, and some more than once. So who has it and who doesn't. So if they're being tested every single week, and everybody who tested positive is nowhere near the performance center, why are some people staying home the last 2 weeks, but then are going to perform on Extreme Rules? All right, I don't want to name any names, but I think you could think of a few people right offhand and say to yourself, if everybody in the building right now is COVID-free because they're all tested before they do the tapings, why are some people not performing right now, not appearing in the building, but are going to compete at Extreme Rules? It's a little baffling. Yeah, George, you might call it a sloppy shop, but I tell you, man, it's a little confusing. And again, I don't want to use any specific names. You could fill in the blank any way you want. But what makes Extreme Rules so much different? Are you going to say to me, well, it's a WWE payday? Well, it doesn't make sense why you're not on television in the ring or around ringside for the last week or two. I'm just pointing that out. I've been tested 4 times already. It's not pleasant. But, you get tested, your result in a day and a half. WWE buys the rapid test. Right then and there. 30 minutes, an hour, whatever it is, Me, I unfortunately, I can't afford the rapid test. And honestly, my lab, I don't think even offers the rapid test if I wanted it. So, yeah, I'm a little confused. Something tells me that some of the people that are currently not on television did test positive for COVID. Not going to name any names, but it's a little confusing. Not many people I'm talking about, but a few. But getting back to this karaoke thing today, I tell you the truth. When I saw this, I was hoping that they would perform Brock Lesnar's theme, Bret Hart's theme, Goldust, Kurt Angle, the Ultimate Warrior. We didn't get any of that. And it was funny because I teased on Twitter that I was going to do karaoke tonight. And I gave everybody a choice of Lesnar, Warrior, Goldust, Bret Hart, Kurt Angle. I had some people respond publicly. I had some people sending me private messages. And almost everybody said to perform Kurt Angle's theme. They didn't get the joke. Every song that I just mentioned are instrumentals. There is no lyrics. I did that on purpose because I wanted them to. I didn't want to hear them sing. And do you honestly think, in your lifetime, that those 4 women that were in the ring, that was their songs of choice? I mean, they did their job. I mean, Naomi was supposed to be the one of choice, even though I got to be honest with you, I thought Lacey Evans actually sang the best out of all of them. But I did not like that segment at all. They tried. People say, they keep bringing up Dusty Rhodes to take, just to poke Cody Rhodes. Shut up. Dusty Rhodes is beloved for not just fans or wrestlers, but he did so much for NXT. He did so much for a lot of those stars back then. So when people tribute Dusty Rhodes, it's coming from here. It's not coming from here. It's coming from here. I did not think AEW and Cody when they sang Dusty's song. No, I wouldn't call Naomi Sapphire 2.0. Why? Because they're both black. It was a nice little tribute, but Lacey Evans, the Southern Belle. It was funny because I actually watched people actually trying to give legitimate reactions to the segment, and they're like, "Why is Lacey Evans, of all the songs, why would she pick With My Baby Tonight? That's absolutely horrible. What is she going to be like, Jeff Jarrett?" Her fucking character is the Southern Belle. They needed a Southern song. So that song is a Southern song that has been brought up recently when Jeff Jarrett made those brief appearances on WWE television. Thank God for a very short period of time. That's the only reason why. Lacey Evans, now them teasing a little bit of being a heel again. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, man, WWE is so fucking afraid to show love to our military or law enforcement in characters. I mean, my God, one of the forgotten sons of bitches pays a little tribute to, Trump or law enforcement. Psh, dead. Gimmick dead. Off TV. Lacey Evans, there was so much about her military background. And now, it's not her doing, but it just feels like WWE is trying to go simpler, less controversial. Let's bring her back as the Southern Belle and wear knee-high stockings and all this stuff. I don't know if that maximizes Lacey Evans' usage. I have been a fan of Lacey Evans since day one. Anybody goes check out all my shows going back. Always stuck with her. Mish and I, as far as I know, are the two who really, really appreciated her background and liked her since day one. I don't know if this really does anything. Dana Brooke, look, I have been saying this for years and years and years. It's nothing personal against her. It's not sexist. There's some people who try so hard to do well. And I hate using analogies, but I use the baseball analogy that you have some people that'll be in the minor leagues for 20 years. And, you might have one point where in the minor league, somebody bats like 280, 290. So after all of these years, they finally bring the person up to the major leagues and they bat 110. Dana Brooke, you have to give her A for effort. But you could see whenever she gets the camera on her, on the air, she overdoes it. If you even look at some of her matches and her promos, I think if she just pulled back and not try to be the center of attention and it's very hard to explain. But I think a lot of people know exactly what I'm doing. Yes, the whole idea her in this segment tonight is her to be a little bit over the top and this and that, but that's always. It's always, just too much concentrating on the facial features, too much concentration on the moves, too much concentration with the verbiage, too much concentration on execution, and it comes off robotic. And unfortunately, if you're going to be robotic, you better make sure that all the parts are well oiled, because she does not move around. She might flex and she might lift 300 pounds, and she might be extremely in shape, but there's some people who never get, that movement in the ring. You see some people bring up Penelope Ford, and that's actually a great example. She is so athletic, and I don't want to say acrobatic, and people point this out, but when she's in the ring, it almost looks like that she's got like 50-pound weights like shoved in her shoes. Like she cannot like smoothly go fast. Like everything is like, people know what I'm talking about. And I appreciate everybody in the chat room who are, agreeing with me as well. Is Tuesday really Taco Tuesday? I tell you, man, I'm craving tacos. I've been on keto for 16 months now. And I tell you, I actually Googled yesterday, bored keto diet, and I'm trying to convince myself that it's okay for one night just to have a couple of tacos, have a burger with a bun and French fries, have a couple of slices of regular pizza. I haven't eaten that shit in 16 months. I'm just so afraid to get out of ketosis, for anybody who knows what that means, because then you get the keto flu, and I do a show every other day over here. And I don't need to come on here and be sweating buckets. I just talked about sweating everything and looking like I'm going to pass out. I want bread so bad, man. I never in a million years ever thought that I would be this strict on this diet, seriously. But I think I'm going to cheat next week. I think it's about time we cheat. So, but anyway, we're going to run this show until about midnight. It's 10:30 right now. I know... On Monday, I said we want to keep these shows 60 to 75 minutes, and that is definite. Wednesday, we had a little bit of a problem. Wednesday, we started at 10:05, same as tonight, and I said we're going to midnight. And the idea is that's an hour and 55 minutes, more than enough time to cover everything we covered Wednesday. And what happened was it was getting close to midnight, and a lot of people were like, oh, stick around, stay. And, the show was loaded. I mean, I think we might have came close to more live listeners Wednesday than we ever had so far. So I stuck around like an extra 20 minutes. It took YouTube almost 10 hours to process the video, because once you go over 2 hours, then it has to go into this different procedure. When you do YouTube, just so people know, when you see other podcasters doing live and they always stay under 2 hours, that's because if they stay under 2 hours, the minute they hit stop, the whole show is online. It may not be the perfect quality and, becomes better quality later on throughout the processing, but you could see the whole show from beginning to end. You go over 2 hours, it'll only show you the last 2 hours of the show. So the first 20 minutes of Wednesday's show, which I got in some very important points, nobody could see for almost 10 hours. So, I was really pissed off about that. So as long as we finish tonight by 12:05 at the latest, anybody that tunes in late can see the whole show in its entirety right from the beginning. But we got a lot of stuff to talk about today. And it isn't just about SmackDown. A lot of people were asking me, please, Don Tony, bring this back. This week in wrestling history. I want to bring this back full-blown so bad. I looked at this episode I did 2 years ago. I did a 4-hour show. And everything you see right now on the picture actually did take place this week in wrestling history between July 10th, which is today, and July 16th. Everything you see on the screen, and tons more. The problem is, if I start putting clips of matches here and other things, and by the way, I'll get into everybody's super chats in a moment, but if I start playing clips of matches, even if it's audio only, I really run the risk of being flagged. Now, I got some permission from some areas, and I know a promo here, promo there is fine, but, you really got to stay outside of the scope of matches and stuff on TV and pay-per-views. That's what gets you in trouble on YouTube. So I really cannot focus on clips. I have 3 that I might share with you tonight that I think you will get a kick out of. And one of them focuses on Bray Wyatt, because Bray Wyatt, this week in history, not only was it his NXT debut this week in history, but if you remember when The Fiend, he was doing the Firefly Funhouse skits. And then after the skits were done, he showed up on Raw, attacked Finn Balor, and, that memorable debut on Raw is The Fiend. That happened this week in history also. This week in history also was the Wyatt family versus the New Day, which a lot of people thought was a ripoff of the broken deletion or the final deletion. So Bray Wyatt had a lot of history, this week. But we'll get into that towards the end of the show. I know a lot of you out there want my thoughts on Matt Riddle's statement that he posted publicly. I actually have the video. So we'll get into that as well. But you know what? I want to just throw this out there really, really quick. And Dawaj, I look like a goody-goody 7-Eleven employee. All right, if I do, I do. But just do me a favor. Just don't flood the chat with, like, the same thing over and over again. I have only blocked one person ever over here. I don't mind the criticism. I don't mind the jokes. I could laugh at myself, but there's a lot of good people out there that are just trying to enjoy the show. So that's all I ask. I'm very easy easy going, so not a scumbag. And by the way, if we have time also, I want to get into this little tweet that Tama Tonga posted online. And I know a lot of you out there could give a flying you-know-what about Tama Tonga, but I actually got a kick out of this tweet. He writes, and I quote, as you can see on the screen, "It seems like wrestling fans are more engaged with the content outside the wrestling ring instead of in it. Are the wrestling stories and the angles that boring? Asking for a friend." Yeah, okay, asking for a friend. And it's funny to see the responses from people out there who are rather new wrestling fans. And, I guess I could answer this right now. The reason why I got such a kick out of that tweet is because anybody that follows me going back to the 90s, because remember, I started doing this in 1997 with my wrestling hotline. And something that I have been saying since around 1999, 2000, I don't know if any of you remember the Weakest Mark Awards. Do you remember that? The Weakest, Mark. We used to have a TV show, The Weakest Link. And if you have never seen the WWF episode of The Weakest Link, you need, I have no problem if you stop watching me live right now and go search it out on YouTube or Video Daily Motion, whatever that channel is. You need to go out of your way and watch it, because you feel bad for some people out there. I felt bad for Booker T. They asked Booker T, with www.whatever.com. I remember the one they asked him, what does WWW stand for? He had no idea. There was some people in the WWF that had no fucking clue of some of the easiest questions out there. It is a funny episode. But it was funny for the wrong reasons. But I did a spoof back then. I did something called The Weakest Mark. And I played clips of other people's hotlines. And these hotlines were the god-awful, drizzling shits. The worst of the worst. And I still got it stored away in a hard drive somewhere, so I got to throw it on here for everybody in the very near future. But the one thing that I've been saying since like 1999 to now, and people will remember this quote, because I've said it also on the shows too, wrestling fans prefer real-life storylines than what they see on TV. Back when I was doing a wrestling hotline in the 90s, people always tried to stir the shit up between yours truly and other hotlines. The stuff with Joey 924, Dominic Valente, Captain Ivan, Captain Lenny, Vinnie Mac, Vinnie G. I mean, there was so many. Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank. Iron Mike. Anybody remember the Iron Mike hotline? Oh, what was that girl that he was trying to get laid from and he struck out and he put her on his hotline too? The Chokeslam wrestling. There was so many feuds going on at that time, and we realized, and that's why reality TV blew up, because people are more drawn to seeing real life hatred. That's why when you see, come on, look at the Matt Riddle thing. I guess we could Smoked Out. Smoked Out was good people though. Smoked Out I actually worked the show with for FTW. Was that the promotion, or FTR? No, it was FTW. It was Fuck the World Wrestling Promotion. And then they changed it to Fight the World because there was a lot of controversy because they didn't want to use Fuck the World. I actually worked their first ever show. I'm begging them to Beater Eater or something like that. I fucking loved that match. We did satires. A lot of people don't know this. My parents were building their house in Rockaway. This was, 12, 14 years ago? The house wasn't even done yet. And Robert Pays, who is a photographer, came to my house in Rockaway. So did Grim Reaper, Jay Lover, I don't remember the other guy's name, I guess the owner of the whole promotion. And we did like spoofs of Goodfellas. I'm sure some of you remember the photo of me, Jay Lover, and Grim Reaper doing the Goodfellas pose. Then we did it with, I can't remember his name right now. Why is Jody saying wrong? Wrong at what? What do you mean wrong? Tell me what's wrong. Tell me wrong. Tell me what's wrong. I don't know what you mean. When you write wrong, you got to tell me what I'm saying that's wrong. Zero of what I'm saying is wrong. But we did segments where Jay Lover was going to feud with this superhero, Purple People Beater Eater or something like that. And he's looking in like my bathroom. And he's like all shaken up. And I go to the bathroom. I'm like, hey, what's going on? What's the matter? He's like, I can't get this guy out of my mind. I'm like, come on, let's go have a drink or something. It's all recorded. And he looks back up in the mirror, and the fucking superhero is right behind him in the mirror, and he's going crazy. Then we go to the back of the house, and you got the beautiful beach background, and he's looking out, and I'm like, get outside, get some fresh air. Just look at the beach, listen to the waters, and they're filming it. And he's looking at the ocean, and there's nobody around. Then he looks back, and you see this superhero that weighs like $105 running around. So, man, those are awesome memories. I got to put some of that stuff up here for everybody out there. Like I said, I'm not trying to spite anybody by going full video with the shows from now on until I'm done. But so many things, so many stories that I always wanted to actually show you, and I couldn't because it was audio only stuff. But anyway, let's get back to Matt Riddle, and I guess we could segue from there. So with Tama Tonga's tweet, people flock to real life stuff, drama. And, you see storylines and people comment, oh my God, Matt Riddle makes a statement about him, being, has infidelity. I mean, every person and their mother has to give you their 2 cents on, Matt Riddle. He's a stand-up guy for being honest. He's a creep. He's a womanizer. People make mistakes. He's an asshole. Give him credit. This and that. The wife's a moron. They're trying to work it out. And I'm saying to myself, this is exactly what Tama Tonga is talking about. People flock to this stuff. And what angers me more about anything else are the people who insist on telling you what's right and what's wrong. And that's why I called them Sergeant Skeleton. And what did I call it? What would I say, the police patrol? Anybody remember what I called it? What's the something police online? I called them Sergeant Skeleton because half of the people that you see commenting on this have so much skeletons in their closet, and and they just hide. And they flock to like what Matt Riddle said. Somebody's got to remember what I said. But the bottom line is damn, I can't remember it. I don't want to go on my Twitter now and pull it. Somebody go on my Twitter and look back. I called it something police. But look, anybody that knows me with Matt Riddle, I have said, you know, my views on Matt Riddle for a couple of years. Didn't like his attitude. No, it's not the social justice police. Just go to my Twitter, @DonTonyD. You'll see it's one of the, just go on my, you know, tweets. I don't tweet too many times. You'll see it right on there. It's something police. I can't remember what it was. But, you know, I never liked Matt Riddle. Matt Riddle I've warmed up to over the last 6 to 8 months, not just because he's entertaining in the ring, but, you know, you hear, you know, people evolve, people grow up. Now, I know you're not looking, Darren, fashion police. It's not the fashion police. I'm not going to bring it up again until somebody posts the right one. As soon as somebody posts it, I'll be like, yeah, that's what it was. But, you know, the thing with Matt Riddle is everybody wants to tell you how good of a person he is now, or he's trying in a marriage, or how bad of the person is. You got to look at the person who's actually making these comments, and they have so many skeletons. Was it the morality police? I think you might be right, Dorian. Might be the morality police. You know, worry about the skeletons in your closet, and worry about everything that you hide from the social media world. I think a lot of people out there don't think that people notice that there's almost nothing that you know about anybody other than what they type or what they say to you. So I don't really pay attention to that stuff. Now, the only reason why I'm giving you my opinion on Matt Riddle tonight is because you all asked me for it. But I'm not going to go on the one side or the other. So for those that don't know, you know, with the hashtag speaking out, there's been a lot of accusations. And quite honestly, a couple of weeks ago, you know, you could go back to the YouTube clip. Jody, I hide almost nothing. I'm an open book in so many ways. There's so much shit that I put online of myself personally, you know, so I hide virtually nothing. I mean, people pretty much know what the deal is with yours truly. But anyway, with Matt Riddle, okay, you might remember when hashtag speaking out first came out. You know, you go back to the YouTube episode that I did. I don't know if it was Wednesday Night Don-O-Mite 2-3 weeks ago or it was Don Tony show, but I got grilled. I brought up Elgin and I brought up a few people of their actions, but I also brought up that, and a lot of you will remember this, that, you know, just because you pick up someone in a club and you lie through your teeth of who you are and what you can do and you get laid over it, you know, and then you just decide, you know, you're not going to be bothered with that person after that. It's a pretty rotten thing to do. You got your knob wet, and that's it. You don't want to be bothered with the person anymore. It doesn't make you an abuser. Nobody, mostly nobody, likes to be used. Nobody likes to be lied to. Nobody likes to feel like a piece of meat, most people. And the thing is that as much as someone might be a creep, might be a womanizer, might cheat on their girlfriend or their wife, does not make them a abuser. And the problem is that the people who are legitimately sexually abused, touched while they're sleeping, date rape drugs, you know, molested, you know, job on the line unless they did something sexually. Those people get overshadowed from the people who have so much hatred for someone who did them wrong that they just want to see them crash and burn. Now, the problem is I don't know what the truth is with Matt Riddle or the accusations, all right? Like I said, there's 4 sides to every story. I know this. Everybody knows the saying there's 3 sides. There's 4 sides to every story. There's the accuser, there's the accused, somewhere in the middle is probably the truth, and then there's the version that everybody wants to stick to because it gets them the most conversation online. And the thing with Matt Riddle is that there are a lot of women out there who have been burned. There are women who fell in love with guys. Come on, you go on the Hallmark Channel, go on ID, go on any of these fucking BET, ID, AEE. They all have these shows. Come on, you see all these specials. Come on, you see, who's that guy that does that? Who's always on the BET channel that does Medea? Medea. Who's the actor's name that produces these movies that does Medea? All right, Catfish. There was a TV show with Catfish. But who's the producer, the actor that does Medea? Because that guy is really talented at what he does. Tyler Perry. That guy is so talented at what he does. Yes, you look at it, I'm a white guy, all right? And when I watch a Tyler Perry movie, you could see the format. Somebody in the beginning gets burned. You know, it's usually a woman, and then you'll have some maybe white actors in the production that, you know, might just, you know, be part of the story or not really paid attention to. But in the end, the black woman who was used and abused, she meets this guy, falls in love, you know, thinks she's going to get, and then she finds out he's married and this and that, and he lied and then and that, and then in the end, she gets her revenge. That's like the format of all those stories. So there are a lot of women who have been burned from guys that just use them, for their bodies. And a lot of people want ultimate revenge. Now, I don't mean like cut their balls off or anything like that, but they want the ultimate revenge. You know, you see that person who used them crash and burn. Hey, good, deserved it. All right? Lord Dozier thinks they're terrible movies. You know, look, you watch one once in a while, they're pretty good. I actually think he's extremely talented. Now, I'm not making any accusations that the women surrounded by Matt Riddle are lying. But again, you could be mentally lied to. You could feel used physically. An affair is an affair. And unfortunately, how many times have you seen a TV show or a movie or maybe a real life forensic files, investigation, discovery, or whatever, where a woman says that he lied to me. He said he was going to marry me. He said he was leaving his wife. He said he was doing this. He told me he wasn't married. He told me he did this. He told me this. He told me that. And they are devastated, many, because they fall in love with a person that is just using them. Unfortunately, I know a lot of people hate me for saying this. That's not an abuser. That's not a sexual abuser. It's someone who is a creep. And as far as Matt Riddle goes, he admitted that he cheated on his wife. He admitted of the affair. And since he made this public for the world to see, I'm going to share it with you right now.
I'm going to make this quick. I have never in my entire life sexually assaulted a man, woman, or anybody. And that includes Samantha Tavell, Candy Cartwright. I never sexually assaulted you. The story about that band trip and the driver being asleep and me forcing you to do stuff and hop on whatever is a complete lie. It's a fabricated story because you're still mad. You know why you're mad? Because yes, you're right. We had an affair. You have plenty of evidence of that. And you know what? I never denied it because it happened. Do I want to talk about it? Do I really want to share about it? No. It's embarrassing because I feel like a real piece of crap cheating on my wife and doing that and now having to talk about it publicly. But I have to. We had a relationship. We had a fling. I started to get sad and depressed because I was lying to my wife so much to hide what I was doing. I was lying to all my friends because I didn't want anybody to know. Because it's not something cool. I didn't want to brag about it. I tried to end it. I told my wife about you and us. I tried to end it. I blocked you. I blocked your social media. You then started using messaging apps and you kept coming. I blocked those. I got a new number. You got my new number and kept messaging me. You literally got on social media accounts for other companies, kept messaging me until I blocked them. Now you have literally started harassing me, showing up to hotels, harassing my friends. Where is he? Where is he? Where is he? At this point, you have to realize if you don't think you're stalking me or harassing me, you're crazy. And if you are at home and you don't think that's harassment, you're crazy. At the end of the day, I'm not perfect. We did have an affair, and I'm not happy about that. But I never sexually abused anybody. I never sexually assaulted anybody. And when I wanted to get out of this relationship, out of this situation, she said no, and she kept pursuing me and harassing me and stalking me. And then when she didn't get her way, she used the Speak Out movement to try to ruin my career. Completely unacceptable. That's all I really have to say. That's the story. Everybody have a great day. Take care. Later.
So again, you know, I'm really not going to give you, I'm going to answer this completely different than what everybody else is doing out there. I'm not going to say I believe him or he's a liar, because once again, not one of us was in the same bedroom, in the same car, in the same hotels as those two when they were together. We will never know unless there is physical proof if he sexually abused anybody. But as I said, and you have seen it on television, you know, I know it sounds, you know, when Me Too first came out, you know, I know it's the popular thing to say that every woman should be heard. And I agree, every woman should be heard. But some people who feel used and feel mistreated psychologically, physically, were promised a whole bunch of things and didn't get it, you know, that can mentally devastate. How many people out there know someone who is married or in a relationship and that person is cheated on, especially in marriage, and the marriage gets ruined because of it? The person who was cheated on, it may never be the same again. That's how devastating it is for some people. So for some people who are absolutely flat out devastated, this woman, for all we know, maybe she was promised that he was going to leave his wife. I don't know. We don't know the answers. But one thing is for certain, that there are a lot of people out there who take the term sexually abused, and because they were mistreated, will take advantage of this. And that's why you really have to tread so lightly. You have to let the people out there speak out. I made this comment almost a month ago that people still bring up to this day. Do you notice how almost everybody out there who was not the victim or the accused, almost everybody out there who was neither, are the ones who are speaking out 1,000 times more? There were people out there that tweeted 20, 30, 40 times about this Matt Riddle situation. You weren't a victim. You weren't the accused. Why are you tweeting 20 or 30 times about it? Because they use this situation to make themselves look like a better person. Oh, Matt's a creep. Like. Oh, Matt's a womanizer, and this woman has a right to be heard, and two other people, like. That's what it is. It's what it is. It's virtual signaling, and the worst culprits are the virtual signalers that call other people that. So I am not going to say I believe Matt Riddle or I think he's a liar. All I do know is this. He has gone public and made that statement. Him and his wife went on Bubba the Love Sponge early this week. Now, I'll be honest with you. You know, I watched it. I grinded my teeth a little bit because I can't fucking stand Bubba the Love Sponge. Bubba Clem. Seriously, that guy I said earlier that smelled like dead salmon, I'd rather drink his sweat. I'd rather lick his sweaty forehead than listen to Bubba the Love Sponge. That's how much I hate listen. But you got to give Matt Riddle and his wife credit for speaking out. And, you know, it's not just about victims speaking out. It's also about speaking out and maybe growing and learning from this. I brought this up in no, well, really in 2002. When I was doing some work for XPW, and you see some of the partying going on, and some of the hookups, I guess the way you could call it, I went on my hotline so many times, and I did it on the shows, video and audio only. And I've said so many times since 2002, I would never have a relationship with somebody in wrestling ever. I would never be married to someone. I would never have a girlfriend to someone in wrestling, because you hear the stories, look at the shoot interviews. This week in wrestling history, all right? And we could use this right now. I think people will get a kick out of this. This is okay to use because I'm going to give him the credit later on. This week in wrestling history, I think it was 1995, the Nitro Girls debuted on WCW Nitro. And on the history show, I had shared with everybody a clip of Kevin Nash doing a shoot, and he was talking about the Nitro Girls. Now, I want you to hear what Kevin Nash said about the Nitro Girls. And when you hear this, there's no sexual abuse whatsoever. But again, in wrestling, there's something about wrestling, and it happens in the music world, it happens in the sports world, it happens in the entertainment world. That's why when people were saying wrestling's going to die because of this, it's just people trying to, just attract attention. All right, entertainment world didn't die over this. The sports world didn't die over this. Nothing. Wrestling is not going to die over this. But when you understand, when people are on the road and traveling, you get lonely. Unfortunately, people cave in to the urges. That's why so many people in wrestling get married and divorced, married and divorced, married and divorced. This is what Kevin Nash had to say about the Nitro Girls.
For the first 12 years of my fucking career, it is the world's largest sausage fest. To add 6 vaginas to the mix in any form or fashion is beyond a brilliant idea.
And have them not
I don't give a fuck if they're lighting themselves on fire.
Okay. So it was a necessity in many ways.
And it was great because it was a great segue back to the show.
Who's in charge of all that? I can't imagine Bischoff coming out and giving them
they
tips on
hired
dance
a girl, she was a black lady that was in charge that had worked with the Falcons cheerleaders.
Okay.
Who was not a fan of mine.
Not a fan.
No, because she had these strict rules, and one of the girls got preferential treatment.
Well, they say in the NFL that there is kind of a code of separation, whether it's true or not.
Well, this ain't the NFL, boy.
Well, I was going to say, she was trying to enforce those rules with a bunch of horny fucking wrestlers.
It was kind of like when the WWE brought in Linda Wolf, she was like the she was an NFL.
Yeah.
She did something with the NFL, and she sat down, and I was the world champion, and she sat there and she laid this out, and she's looking at me, and what a fucking cunt this lady is. Please leave that in the fucking tape.
I think that was in the WWE edition of Timeline you did too, because I think it was the year we did, 95.
Yeah, anyway, just and I've told the story, I'll tell it again. She's like, and of course, you're like the quarterback, which usually that wife is in charge of the rest of the wives. So when you guys all do events, that way, your wife will be in charge. I said, bitch, if you play for the Denver Broncos, you play the season in fucking Denver. Everybody lives there. Nobody lives in Phoenix but me. You're out of your mind. You ain't gonna last long.
What did she literally wanted your wife?
She was thinking it was gonna be we're gonna make this like the NFL.
Have picnics and stuff.
And and run do you realize that we're TV right now, and no, when we leave here, nobody lives in this motherfucker. There are no home games. How did she get fucking? I don't know.
How long she last?
After I made it my personal I know that she didn't last 6 months. I made it my personal goal to get her fired. And I set as many fucking traps up. And every time I got in Vince's ear, I was just like, you got to get rid of this fucking cunt.
What was the first thing that engendered such anger? It couldn't be the wife comment.
She just fucking thought she was my boss.
Oh.
You know, it's one thing when somebody comes in and they look at you and they go, well, Kev, I have had 11 years of business with Barnum & Bailey. All right, that's great. Once again, you set up a tent for 10 days in a parking lot, motherfucker. We're not in the parking lot for 10 days. We're in the parking lot for a night. Doesn't work. You know, it's like everybody wants to equate something to something else. I wiped my ass the other day. Speaking of open heart surgery, you know, it's like, fuck you. This is what it is. I don't know how you got hired, if they have to have some quotient, but you ain't it.
I think somehow I got 2 clips and mixed it together because the second half of that had nothing to do with the Nitro Girls. Still a funny story. But you heard the beginning. The Nitro Girls, 7 vaginas, sausage fest. You know, there's so many stories. I mean, it's just... And again, you had people for decades laughing at shoot interview stories. Now all of a sudden they tweet 35 times on how it's disgusting that Matt Riddle cheated on his wife. I don't condone cheating on anybody. But unfortunately, it is something that happens in everyday life. It has probably happened to somebody that you know and love. And, you know, but again, that's not sexual abuse. So I think a lot of people out there should worry about, you know, their own backyard than, you know, trying to clean up Matt Riddle's or trying to convict him or quit him. You know, people just flock to that because they just want to virtual signal. So, but anyway, let's get into some other things. You know, we're going to talk about the AEW and NXT ratings. You know, I was a little bit close. You know, I said that the ratings would be close and NXT would win again. I got to tell you, a lot of people think that Tony Khan checks out my shows. And you know me, I don't ever make comments like that on these shows. So many times people say stuff, oh, I think this person tunes in. They have to tune in. I mean, that time, the 2 Jew jokes that I made, and Paul Heyman used them the following week. Even, remember when, God rest her soul, Ashley Mazzaro. But you remember when I went on my show and I said, what were her fans called? Ashholes? And then a couple of days later, John Cena on Raw calls people ashholes. It was just, sometimes it's just weird timing, you know? But I just finished going on a rant that I know no one else got into because a lot of people out there that do podcasts weren't around during the Monday Night Wars. The Monday Night Wars happened from 1995 to 2001 for the most part, all right? 1995 is 25 years ago. So if somebody out there right now is 25, they were an embryo. They were a zogat, whatever that shit is called. They weren't even born. When you have someone out there that is 30 years old doing a podcast right now, they were 5 when Medusa threw the title in the fucking toilet in the trash. All right, they were still sucking on a nipple, hoping milk would come out. So they weren't around during the Monday Night Wars or zygotes. Thank you, a zygote. So I just finished going on this rant about the Monday Night Wars and how nobody ever brought up demographics. You think the entertainment and the commercial and the advertising world transformed in the last 25 years? The 18 to 34 demographic is extremely important. There is no question. But at the end of the day, it's about the total number of viewers on your product. The more people that view your product, the more of a chance somebody will pay money for your product. It is simple as that. So when Tony Khan, and I have apologized till God's end for doing the goody, because it was just a funny joke and everything, and there was no malice, whatever, but I apologize for some of the tongue-in-cheek humor, all right? And I've been very, very professional about everything, but the thing is that, Tony Khan confuses me sometimes. He went on a Twitter storm this week, and he's talking about how, AEW being in the top 7 and the 18 to 34 demographic, and I got some of his quotes right here. Let me see if I can pull him up. All right, he actually said, here it goes. He says, if anyone thinks I consider being a top 7 show on cable anything but a huge win, they're incorrect. A win in a demo is a win in the business, and this is a business. I know the industry wasn't talking about the demo as much 20 years ago, but it's what drives our revenue today. Now, just finished doing my whole rant about 20 years ago. I'm going to say this. You remember when you were in school back in the day? They had like blah, blah, blah for dummies. It would be like science for dummies, or give me War and Peace. 1 year I was in school, they told me, read War and Peace. Like, fuck you. I looked at the book. The book was like this thick. Was it the War and Peace book was like this thick. I'm going to read that? I went to Barnes & Noble or whatever it was, and they had the Cliff Notes. The Cliff Notes were this thick. Yeah, jabroni. They were this thick. So which am I going to read? So I read the Cliff Notes. I think I got like a C, but I passed. Once I got the Cliff Notes and I realized that you could take shortcuts, I've been doing Cliff Notes since then in everything that I do. War and Peace is like a phone book. All right, so I'm going to do, the ratings for dummies right now. And I'm not calling Tony Khan a dummy. But I swear to fucking God, there's not one person alive. I'm sorry, I don't have a blue check mark, so nobody gives a shit about what we say. Every podcaster out there, we don't have blue check marks. People will never give us any, credit or any props, But the thing that they don't understand is me and all of you out there and every other podcaster out there, video, audio, whatever it is, we are the ones that buy the fucking shirts. I have a whole bunch of AEW shirts now, a whole bunch of NXT shirts. I haven't bought a WWE shirt in a while. I have tons of ECW shirts. Tons. I must have about 80 ECW shirts. All right? The 18 to 34 demographic is extremely important, but here's where Tony Khan gets it wrong and gets it wrong so bad. Let me read you another tweet that he said. Why tweet about ratings? Because I'm thrilled about these numbers, and so are TNT. My family drinks a little bit of the bubbly on Thursdays when we're in the top 10. This is the 3rd time in 4 weeks. I'm grateful for the great AEW fans who make it possible. He has every right to say what he said. The problem is, him and Jericho and others are making a real big mistake right now. I'm not in the 18 to 34 demographic. There's a lot of people out there watching this right now that are not in the 18 to 34 demographic. Stop making everybody outside of the 18 to 34 demographic feel like they don't fucking matter. Because I got news for you. People that are above the age of 34, it would be out of their, and I hope Tony Khan sees this, because I say this with nothing but respect intended. Any wrestling fan above the age of 34 that was not a wrestling fan as recent as 5 or 10 years ago would be out of their goddamn mind to decide to be a wrestling fan now. Life must suck so bad for someone who has never followed wrestling before, that is above the age of 35 and says, I'm going to go watch that. I've never seen that before. There's not many people like that do that. So the thing is that a paying customer is a paying customer. You want to brag that in the advertising world that the 18 to 34 demographic is crucial, that's fine. All right, but AEW does not live and die from TNT. If that was the case, don't do another pay-per-view. If that's the case, don't do another fucking, charging for a stream. Don't do any fucking heel parties or don't charge for feeds no more. The pay-per-views are what keeps the business alive. The merchandise is what keeps the business alive. There's a reason why you have 119 t-shirts for sale, because you want to get as many people to buy those t-shirts as possible. People shit on, Aubrey Edwards has a t-shirt. I think it's pretty cool that every single person in the company has a shirt. That is fucking awesome, and that's my God honest opinion. But I'll say this. I used the diner reference last week, and I'm going to use it again now. If I have a restaurant, and I find out that my restaurant is the hottest place for teenagers to go, to 18 to 34 to go eat, and I start bragging to everybody, hey, this is the hottest place in town, 18 to 34, 18 to 34, 18 to 34. Number one, the people who are older will probably feel a little bit out of place, like, I guess this is not meant for me. I really can't speak out about it because this is really all about the 18 to 34. It's stupid to feel that way, but some people do feel that way. But here's where Tony Khan gets it wrong and gets it wrong badly. Chris Jericho versus Orange Cassidy 2 weeks ago was the lowest quarter rating in the history of AEW. I invite anybody to go back to Wednesday's edition of Wednesday Night Don-O-Mite. And I said, I hope to God Orange Cassidy and Chris Jericho doesn't do a bad rating. I will feel bad for Orange Cassidy because it's not his fault. Well, guess what? That match was the lowest quarter hour for the entire night for AEW, believe it or not. Okay, in fact, before I give you the diner, it's kind of a little suspense, but let me give you the quarter breakdown ratings, and then I'll lead to my final comment about the diner. Actually, no, I'll say the diner right now, okay? If I have a diner and I get 1,000 customers a week, 1,000 customers a week, right? All different ages, but it ends up that of the 1,000 customers, a lot of them are 18 to 34. So I seem to be attracting the 18 to 34 demographic. Anybody remember when I first started on YouTube, January 20th? For the first month, I was looking at the demographics of my shows, and the demographic, the biggest audience I had was over the age of 40. And then I started tweaking a little things, started adding things in the backdrop, having a little bit more fun, poking fun, goofy, this and that, listen to a lot. And now the average age has dropped down into like the mid-20s on this show. So, you see it. I pay attention to some of the numbers now. So now if I get 1,000 customers, now I get a grand opening. And the grand opening, I get 1,400 customers for that week. Let's compare that to AEW's week 1 rating. 1,400 customers. I'm bragging. Now, the Giant restaurant, couple of blocks away, says to me, hey, congratulations. Just remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Oh, yeah, whatever. I get 1,400 customers for my first week, brand new. So now, weeks go by, and the 18 to 34 demographic seems to be the main source of my business. And I'm in the top 7 of all the restaurants in my neighborhood. Here's the problem. After 8 months or 9 months being in business, I might be in the top 7, but the problem is that half of my customers don't go to my restaurant anymore. You look at the 18 to 34 demographic when AEW first debuted, and you look at it now, the numbers are a lot lower. And I don't care if I'm the top 1, top 3, top 5, top 7. All right, even if they were number 1 in the 18 to 34 demographic, if you're only doing 700,000 viewers now, and you were doing 800,000, 900,000, a million, 1.2 million, 1.4 million, those are customers, potential paying customers that are no longer watching your product. So you could be number 7 all you want, but if I only have a small number of people in the day, you better hope, Tony Khan, you better hope that 18 to 34 demographic is the ones buying all your merchandise and buying all your pay-per-views too. Because if you keep bragging about the 18 to 34 demographic because of a rating, and you find out that the older fans are the ones that they start feeling left out, guess what? They ain't buying the pay-per-views. They're going to try to find an illegal stream. I can't tell you how many times towards the end of ECW's tenure and WWF, illegal boxes, illegal streams, we go on a website, blah, 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 .jp, and watch everything for nothing. So, anyway, that's really it. So let's get into the quarter rating, shall we? Because we got to start speeding this up a little bit, because we definitely gone by midnight today, 12:05 a.m. Cassette Classics, what happened to the art of taking people into the building? Well, we still got COVID right now, but I agree with what you say. You're supposed to welcome every single customer. Doesn't matter if they're 15 or 85. You make everybody feel at home, and Tony Khan is being dragged into what Tama Tonga said earlier. People out there are bored. People out there, and again, this is goof-free month, and I'm not talking about goofs, but it's just a fact. Look at the people who are on social media all day long from 9 to 5. Those are not your paying customers. Those are people unemployed, not looking for work, that are just looking to not feel bored at home. There's not great shit on TV. I don't watch the news anymore. There's no real sports going on for the most part right now. So these people just flock to all the drama and everything, and Tony Khan has got to avoid that temptation. Ignore Joe Hick, who is talking about, NXT killed them in the ratings, or, stop making your feelings for even Jericho. When someone says, Keith Lee and Adam Cole, they killed Jericho and Orange Cassidy in the ratings. Ignore those people. They're just trying to feel good. Hey, I put someone else down. I feel good. That's what people do. It's been going on for decades and decades and decades. It's just a different form. We didn't have Twitter and Facebook 15 years ago, as far as I know. It was MySpace. It was message boards. It was forums. It was AOL chats. Before that, I don't even remember. What was it? So, King of Swan Style says, if you're going to falsely accuse someone of sexual assault, then you probably shouldn't tell someone that works for WWE that you lied. Yeah, I agree. But like I say again, we're not there. We don't know. Unless we see actual proof. You see all these people that make these claims. I got text messages. I got voicemails. I got this, he threatened this, he said that, he did this and that. Have you seen anybody? Now, some people who actually have been busted have been fired. Some of the people that said, I have proof, they had proof. And you see the wrestlers that are canned. But when you see some wrestlers that still have a job, that's when you really have to pay attention for people out there that, are they really looking for the truth? Or are they looking for an agenda? We don't know the truth about what happened with Matt Riddle or Velveteen Dream or anyone else. But, I live in a country where you're innocent until proven guilty. And some people will get away with this. Unfortunately, some people will get away with this. I steal $100 from your purse. You never find out about it. There's no cameras of me taking it. I probably got away with it. I broke into your car and stole your computer. I had gloves on. You left your window down, you dumb bastard. And nobody saw me do anything, and I took that computer and I brought it home. I probably got away with it. You dropped your wallet on the floor. There's nobody around. I picked it up. I took the cash out of it, put your driver's license in the mailbox because I'm a nice guy. Throw the rest of your wallet in the garbage. No fingerprints. I probably got away with it. There's a lot of things in this world that unfortunately people get away with. And just because you're angry that someone got away with it does not give you the right to be judge, jury, and executioner. And there's a lot of people out there that want to be judge, jury, and executioner without having any proof. People want to insist that someone is guilty. And some people do it because of what I just said, and some people do it because they feel that by berating someone else or putting someone else down or convicting someone else, it makes them look like a better person. That's why you see in the entertainment world some of the biggest outspoken people against sexual abuse are the ones that get busted. You know, you got to really be wary of people that get an almost weird infatuation with some stories out there like Matt Riddle and others. You know, a very weird infatuation because those people have had friends and family and others who have cheated on people. You have people out there who will lie on social media. Hey, I banged this married chick last night. Blah, 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 blah. You know, then all of a sudden Matt Riddle does the same thing. And, 35 tweets later, how much of a piece of shit Matt Riddle is. You got to steer clear of those people. By the way, what's going on with Creepy Ali? What happened to the segments? I think it's past Emma territory, by the way. I think it has. So anyway, ratings this week. NXT, AEW. NXT wins again. Now, everybody's talked about, the overall ratings. But I want to focus on the quarter hours because I think it tells a very interesting story about both AEW and NXT. And again, the 18 to 34 is all nice and dandy. But when, a third of your 18 to 34s don't watch your product anymore, and 1/3, almost 1/2 of your viewers no longer watch your product, well, guess what? You think those viewers that no longer watch your product, oh, I don't watch the regular weekly shows, but I'll pay the $60 for the pay-per-view. It's usually the opposite. I'll watch the TV shows, but I ain't buying the pay-per-view. You crazy? In this day and age, AEW better offer me $9.99 or $9.98. Better price than WWE. So you don't have a lot of people watching your product. Those are less people that are going to order your merchandise, order your pay-per-view. So don't give me this 18 to 34 shit. All right? Maybe that's good in the advertising world. You know what? Tony Khan should be responding to people in the advertising world. Because the people who are on social media, unemployed, not working, have no success in business whatsoever, are not millionaires, not even making fucking unemployment right now. I don't think any business trying to school anybody about how advertising works or entertainment works or revenue works. That's why Tony Khan has got to shut up about this stuff. Chris Jericho's got to shut. I know what they're doing. Tony Khan is probably nervous that if he doesn't respond back, that this builds momentum. The whole social media world is pointing out that NXT is beating AEW, and AEW, oh my God, it's starting to sink, Just make your product better to get those fans to start watching your product again. Personally, I think with Moxley coming back next week, even though Moxley's not a ratings Jesus Christ savior, I think they will rebound a little bit. So anyway, Private Party versus Kenny Omega and Hangman Page opened up AEW with 785,000 viewers. Pretty impressive. Mia Yim and Candice LeRae opened up with 775. So almost head-to-head. Almost exact. Quarter 2, Private Party's match ended. Quarter 2 was Joey Janela versus Lance Archer. And unfortunately, that dropped down 90,000 viewers. That was the biggest drop of the entire night for any quarter hour for AEW wrestling. That is because, in my opinion, AEW has totally mismanaged Lance Archer. They brought him in like a monster. He ran into the Cody wall, because there was no way, in hindsight, that Cody was going to lose and not be the first TNT champion. They have done nothing with the guy since. So Joey Janela and Lance Archer, I said Wednesday, kind of was my favorite match of the night. With the 8-man tag probably really being my favorite, but them being a very close second. So that match dropped down to 90,000 to 695. Going against that was the end of Mia Yim and Candice LeRae's match. They did just as bad. They dropped 94,000 viewers. So let's make this point that nobody's talking about. The second quarter of AEW from 8:15 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern, AEW lost 90,000 viewers. NXT lost 94,000 viewers. They didn't go to the other channel. They both lost. So you had 184,000 viewers stop watching those two products 15 minutes into the shows. Now, you start gaining some back here and there, but that's the problem. They're not being able to maintain their audience. And what's amazing is the last 2 weeks, the matches I told you that would have the lowest ratings ended up having the lowest ratings. When I said Wednesday that Johnny Gargano and Isaiah Swerve Scott, that I honestly, nothing against Scott, but I'm not connected with him yet. I had no interest in watching that match. Balor, Lee, and Gargano had the biggest quarter 2 weeks ago. Gargano this week had the lowest quarter. I don't think it's Gargano's fault, but you could almost see where fans want to change town. And I know a ton of people shit on Taz debuting, the FTW title in AEW. I enjoyed it. I praised it Wednesday. I think Taz is the professional. I don't think Taz has done this to anybody online. But Taz, that third quarter, which was right at the very end of Lance Archer versus Joey Janela, that Darby Allin promo, and the Taz-Brian Cage interview, which was the majority of that quarter, that went up to 736,000 viewers. So they regained quite a bit. On the NXT side, Bronson Reed versus Tony Nese, and then that Robert Stone angle, that rating was 696. So right now, you have AEW, beating NXT. 785, 695, 736 to NXT 775, 681, 696. Quarter 4, the Young Bucks and FTR versus the Lucha Brothers Butcher and the Blade did 735,000 viewers. It actually went down 1,000 viewers compared to Taz's promo. Think about that. That match that everybody arguably said was the best match of the night, some people calling it a match of the year, actually went down a tick in the viewership. On the opposite side, Johnny Gargano and Isaiah Swerve Scott only did 681,000 viewers. So the end of Mia Yim, the second half of Mia Yim and Candice LeRae's match, as well as Gargano and Isaiah Swerve Scott, they tied for the lowest quarter ratings of the entire night with 681,000 viewers. Now we go into hour 2. The first quarter of hour 2 for AEW, Big Swall's angle with Nia Rose, and the Big Swall angle with Britt Baker and the Nyla Rose match and her promo, that went down a little bit further, went down to 705,000 viewers. Basically, what you start realizing is that from Taz and Brian Cage's segment, for the rest of the night, the ratings kept going down. Went from 736 to 735 to 705 to 692. Actually, the next last 695, almost the same, but dropped to 675. On the NXT side, just to show you the final hour, quarter 5, 757, 741, 816, 922. So you could see the second hour of NXT's ratings going this way, AEW's going this way. First quarter of AEW's hour 2, the Big Swall, like I said, the angle of Britt Baker and the Nyla Rose squash and her promo did 705,000 viewers. On the opposite side, El Legado del Fantasma versus Breezango Drake Maverick did 757,000 viewers. That match jumped up 76,000. SCU versus the Dark Order and Colt Cabana, that dropped down to 692. Mercedes Martinez versus Santana Garrett dropped down to 741. The next to last quarter for AEW, the end of the 6-man tag match. And, actually, I got to take something back. When I said Big Swall earlier, with Britt Baker, that first segment was Big Swall getting handed the papers. The second segment where Big Swall shoved the papers in Britt Baker's face, that was the next to last quarter. That and the hype of next week's show was at 695,000 viewers. On the flip side, the last 2 quarters were Adam Cole versus Keith Lee. So the next to last quarter, Adam Cole versus Keith Lee did 816,000 viewers. And then the final quarter, Chris Jericho versus Orange Cassidy only took up that last quarter, while on NXT, they took up almost 2. So that last quarter of Chris Jericho versus Orange Cassidy only did 675,000 viewers. Adam Cole versus Keith Lee in that final quarter did 922,000. So if you remember Wednesday when I said that I think the Adam Cole-Keith Lee match was the reason for NXT to win this week, yeah, that's true. Because when you look at the ratings quarter by quarter, I'll use AEW first, NXT second. 785 to 775, 695 to 681, 736 to 696, 735 to 681. So far, AEW's won every quarter. 705 to 757. That's where they started losing it. From Drake Mavericks, the six-man tag for the rest of the night, NXT went this way, AEW went down this way. You could twist it all you want with 18 to 34 demographics. At the end of the night, there's where your difference is. You could talk advertising with the advertisers. Talk your product to all of your fans. Not 18 to 34, from 6 to 106. Because every single one of them out there is a potential purchaser of your pay-per-views, your merchandise, and stop with this obsession with the 18 to 34. The websites are the one that started this obsession with 18 to 34. You know, when you see that picture online about the ratings, do I have it in front of me? I don't have it in front of me. When you see the picture online where they show the ratings in the quarter hours, you can have whichever column you want to be where it counts down. And people click on 18 to 34 and then screenshot it and say, here, everybody, this is why the 18 to 34 matters. So anyway, let's move on. By the way, AEW this Wednesday is going to be raising money for COVID-19 relief in Florida. They've actually debuted this shirt. Nice looking shirt. And I think, that's the Tama Tonga tweet, but the proceeds for that shirt are going to be going to COVID-19 rescue. And, they got a nice little lineup next week. I want to give little props to AEW for the Puppy Battle Royal. I don't know if you all saw it. They streamed it only on YouTube. You know, for those that don't know the story behind the Puppy Battle Royal, there's a woman by the name of Alita. She is from an organization called Angels Among Us Pet Rescue. She rescues a lot of pets. She had a dog, a lab hound mix, that on Mother's Day gave birth to 7 puppies. She's an AEW fan. She named all 7 puppies after AEW wrestlers. Tony Khan got word of it and asked her if she would like a little ring made for puppies, I guess with, just make it safe. And he gave it to her as a gift. And what they did with the Puppy Battle Royal was they tried to make it look like matches, and the dogs were in the middle of the ring. And I got a couple little screenshots I want to share with everyone. Here you got a couple of puppies in the AEW ring. I guess that's an Aubrey Edwards dog toy. I wonder if they're going to put that on sale. But, the puppies, they're eating biscuits, they're playing with toys, they're inside a ring. And basically, when the puppies would walk out of the ring, they would be eliminated. That's what the Battle Royal was. I know it might sound goofy to a lot of people out there, but the reason why I'm giving this props is because during the Puppy Battle Royal, which you can watch on YouTube right now, they were giving you stats as far as dogs and cats being euthanized, how sad it is if you could adopt. And just, like a lot of awareness about animal rescue. So Tony Schiavone was hilarious with the commentary. A lot of satire. It was not meant to be anything serious. And, the one stat that really got to me, and this woman Alita pointed out that in 2019, 5.6 million dogs and cats passed through the animal shelters in the United States. And unfortunately, of those dogs and cats that went through animal shelters, 600,000 were euthanized. They were put to sleep because they could not find someone to adopt them. Just think about that. 600,000 dogs and cats put to sleep for nothing else but just not being wanted. And that's sad. And, a lot of people had asked me during this COVID, what do I think about all these people telling people, adopt dogs, adopt cats, COVID, this and that. I never gave an opinion on that. And I'll give one now because of all it is. Adopt a dog or a cat because you can take care of them. Not just because you're home during COVID, but because you could take care of them, period. What I am very concerned about is a lot of kids who are home because they couldn't go to school, begged their parents for a dog or a cat, and the parents got them one. And now once the kids go back to school and once the parents go back to work, they can't take care of the dog. You have people in co-ops and condos, and everybody works and go to school. They're not going to just put wee-wee pads down in that place. You're going to see a huge surge of animals, just being deserted because people got them during COVID because they were home. Some people did it because they were depressed. Trust me, I know 2 people who adopted pets because they were lonely and depressed and home and not working and not doing anything and got pets. And I think a lot of people out there are not going to be able to handle it. And it really pissed me off. I'm not going to lie. It really pissed me off to see people like almost giving people guilt trips, like, go out there and adopt a pet during COVID. There's so many pets and adopt them. And meanwhile, easy to tell other people to do with their money or with their time and everything else. You know how many dogs and cats right now, when people start returning to work, that they're not going to be able to take care of them and handle it? You have no idea, man. So anyway, getting back to the puppy battle royal, each puppy had a name. This was the MJF puppy that actually won. There were 2 battle royals, one for the men and one for the women. And you got to admit that this puppy is cute. The Penelope Ford puppy won the women's puppy battle royal. Again, very lighthearted, just really, really cool for them to give that awareness to what's going on with animal rescue. And look, even if you can't adopt, you can, donate, because it helps a lot of these shelters maintain the animals and keep the animals. So, yeah, and it was funny because when MJF cut his promo, he's like, listen, you schmucks, MJF's puppy's going to win. And MJF's puppy didn't win. Another thing that's really cool, I praised the fuck out of this last month when I saw the first teaser. The next teaser came out 2 days ago. Unfortunately, I can't play the audio because I don't want any copyright strikes. But here's the latest video trailer for the WWE 2K Battlegrounds video game. I am loving this. I mean, I know that this game is not necessarily for wrestling fans that want to have leagues and build a wrestler. This is arcade. It's ridiculous. Look, there's a goat, because, she's the goat. You look at this. Steve Austin, Roman Reigns. There's even Sergeant Slaughter. You got Bradshaw. But it's ridiculous. Somebody gets thrown into an alligator. They're doing. It's called an arcade game. Remember when I said it reminded me of NBA Jam with the fire? Look at that. He throws him into an alligator. Come on. This is not... People are going to compare this. It's like when NBA Jam first came out, and then you had these very serious basketball games where you could build a league and build a player and do a franchise, be the GM. This is not that type of game. This is straight up ridiculous punch, kick, crazy special move, alligator eats you, goat kicks you in the mouth, breaks your teeth, Come on. I'm telling you, I have not looked forward to a wrestling video game like I have for this one. I just hope we don't get all, the glitches like before. So, anyway, getting back to SmackDown tonight. We had the opening match of Jeff Hardy versus The Miz. how this all went down, and I think a lot of people felt it almost immediately. You had Jeff Hardy being on Miz TV, and Miz and Morrison just insulting the fuck out of Jeff Hardy before he comes out. Yeah, I agree, Ray. NBA Jam's one of the greatest games. He's on fire. Boom, shakalaka. Love that game, man. So anyway, they're making fun of Jeff Hardy. You know, I think Miz said something like Jeff Hardy takes days one day at a time, and Morrison's like, yeah, because he can't remember the other day. It was hilarious. I know a lot of people like Miz and Morrison. I like them both. I get a kick out of some of their insults, but Jeff Hardy comes out, and basically this was a little confusing because Miz came up with the idea of having a bar fight. I don't recall him saying that Sheamus challenged Jeff Hardy to a bar. I thought Miz came up with the idea. Maybe Miz said that, you know, Sheamus loved the idea or whatever, but, you know, Miz is saying, we want to help you. You lost at Backlash, blah, 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 blah. And he says this idea of doing a bar fight, you know, like confront your enemy. So Jeff Hardy then says, Sheamus, I accept your challenge, blah, blah, blah. And then Jeff Hardy says, but I didn't, you know, come here without, you know, you knew that Jeff Hardy was going to have a match with somebody. I kind of was hoping it would have been Morrison, but we got Jeff Hardy versus The Miz. And, you know, it was an okay match. Again, this week was filler. Yes, we got the bar fight announcement, but this week was mainly filler. Jeff Hardy rolls up Miz to get the win. Decent match, but yes, I agree with everybody in the chat. I was kind of hoping for Morrison versus Hardy, but still was a decent match. Cesaro and Nakamura getting interviewed, mocking the New Day, setting up the match later. Once again, we get Sasha Banks and Bayley. And by the way, how'd you like those ratings on Monday? Second lowest in the history of Raw. I'm not blaming it on Sasha Banks or Bayley, but I feel that they are being way overused right now. I think they're way overused. Monday, they're fighting the Kabuki Warriors. Do you think a week before the pay-per-view, less than a week before the pay-per-view, they're going to lose those tag belts? Seriously? It just feels like overusage of the two. And you see the ratings. Second lowest in the history of Raw. Remember last Friday when people, well, it was the day before the 4th of July. Like everybody has places to go or can't even go out to a bar or a restaurant on a Friday night. You know, people are blaming low July 3rd ratings on the holiday. Well, what's the excuse for Monday? Well, it was 3 days after the 4th of July. Ratings are ratings. Especially when it's so many people at home. Lord knows what people decided to fucking do between 8 and 10 p.m. on Friday and 8 to 11 p.m. on Monday. Does everybody pop Xanax and just go to sleep and just not watch Raw? I'd love to do that, but I can't. So we get Sasha Banks and Bayley. They defeat Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross in a non-title match. This was an entertaining match. Alexa Bliss, I have said it before, she has improved. I still kind of felt that Liv Morgan had kind of leapfrogged her in the, you know, just as far as ring presence and, you know, just telling a story in the ring, but Alexa Bliss has definitely gotten better. This was a fun match, but again, I think the bigger picture that we know what is going to go down next week. We know that titles are not changing hands before a pay-per-view, and everybody who's outside blowing fireworks, maybe, you know, you could be right. You could be right. Decent match, but I will continue saying, and you know, people got to really, you know, remember when I say, don't just hear my shows, but listen? There is a difference. Never once did I complain about Sasha Banks or Bayley on Monday. About their characters, I did not complain about them. About their in-ring work, I did not complain about them. I even said that I actually like Bayley's character. I go against my own co-hosts and a lot of people out there. I like Bayley's character. I have no problem with it. They're both uber talented. Never once on Monday did I criticize either one of their characters or ability. I just feel that they are on TV way too much. You got something too much, you don't want it as much as you used to, you know? Just how I look at it. So unfortunately now we get the repeat of Bray Wyatt versus Braun Strowman from Money in the Bank. And what was hilarious about it was I was preparing for the show while this was going on. And for some weird reason, I completely forgot that they were repeating the Money in the Bank match. And when I saw them in the ring and I see Braun Strowman with the mask on and I see Bray laughing and it just, for a quick second, I had a brain fart. I'm not going to lie, I had a brain fart. My first sentence was, do they realize they just fucking did this at Money in the Bank? Are they actually doing this again right before? And then I saw the green and I was like, stupid me. I had a brain fart for about 30 seconds earlier, but that took up a lot of time. And then you had the karaoke, Lacey Evans singing With My Baby Tonight, Dana Brooke doing the Honky Tonk Man, which was horrible, Tamina doing Triple H, which was horrible, and Naomi doing Dusty Rhodes' song, which was okay, but I honestly thought Lacey Evans won. And go figure, Lacey Evans teasing a heel turn because of karaoke. You know, I don't know. But hey, at least, you know, we got Dana Brooke and Naomi back on TV because they were part of my list of people who I said that we really have not seen all that much for a while. Since the latest outbreak, the names that I came up with, and maybe I'm wrong one time here and there, Carmella, the Street Profits, but you know what? We do have some news. Congratulations to Angelo Dawkins. He is the proud new daddy. His wife gave birth to a healthy baby boy. So that's probably the reason why the Street Profits have been off television recently. Velveteen Dream, we already know. Austin Theory. Daniel Bryan, which, other than the Zoom. Finn Balor, we haven't seen since the latest outbreak. Liv Morgan, Mandy Rose. Natty, Nia Jax. Otis, Tucker, Mojo Rawley. Raquel Gonzalez, Sonya Deville. Sheamus is on the Zoom, and Shorty G. So those are the names recently. So, again, not going to speculate. I will tell you some good news. I don't know if it's on the wires yet. Jon Moxley and Renee Young both tested negative on their recent test for COVID. I don't think Jon Moxley had ever tested positive, but took another test, tested negative. Renee Young apparently is now negative of COVID. So she will be tested again, but just to give everybody a little bit of news if it hasn't been brought out there again. Oh, well, Roman Reigns, we know the obvious, and we know about Sami Zayn, you know, John. I'm talking about, no, Gymnastic, you kind of misunderstood me. I said since the latest outbreak, when you heard 20, 30, 40 people came down, got tested positive for COVID, since the latest outbreak, those are the names. Roman Reigns and Sami Zayn were off TV before the latest outbreak. So that's why I didn't bring. And maybe the Hacker. Yeah, the Hacker too. Yeah, Creepy Ali. Yeah, the Hacker. We left out the Hacker. Well, but that goes in the same category with Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns. And please, people out there that doesn't know why I say Creepy Ali, he's not creepy. Nothing sexual. It's just we were talking storyline. If he was the one doing hidden cameras and everything, you know, because one hidden camera was in the women's locker room. You know, the whole, you know, Hacker. The Hacker hasn't been on TV for a while, so this was before the COVID thing. So that's why some names. So don't. If you're gonna throw names out there, throw names that have not been on TV since the latest outbreak. Beth Phoenix was way before. Mauro Ranallo was way before. So, anyway. So there you go. You know, as far as the, the list of names. But getting back to SmackDown. So, we had the karaoke. You have Naomi win, which I thought Lacey Evans. And Lacey Evans was angry, so she cheap shots Naomi. Naomi takes off her earrings, her shoes. We have an impromptu match, and it really wasn't much of anything. You know, it was fine, but, you know, it breaks out into a brawl. And I don't know if this leads to a match on pay-per-view. Honestly, I don't think so, because there's so many matches. There's only so many matches you can have. And this already feels SmackDown heavy. No update on Nia Jax. I brought that up Monday. You know, a lot of people were like, good, don't bring her up. You know, I think we should wonder, like, why is she not on TV? I hope she's okay. I mean that. So then the main event, the New Day versus Cesaro and Shinsuke. You know, decent match for what it was, but it ended in a disqualification. Cesaro and Nakamura put Kofi Kingston to a table. You could almost bet the ranch. Tables match, tag titles, Extreme Rules. You know, you could see that a mile away. And, you know, that is your episode of SmackDown. You know, I mentioned a few moments ago Angelo Dawkins being the proud new daddy. We got to send our condolences out there to Conan. His mom passed away due to complications related to COVID-19. Also, Linda McMahon's mom, the grandmother of Shane and Stephanie. Not Vince's mom. Vince's mom, I think, is 100. You know, as much as you may not like the McMahons, I think we would all love to get, like, some injection of their genes. Vince's mom is 100. Linda's mom lived to be 93. God bless them. God bless them. But Linda's mom, Evelyn, passed away last week at 93. Lana also revealed on Twitter that I believe both her parents got diagnosed with COVID, and her mother is currently in ICU. That she is asthmatic and she had to be put on oxygen. That is not good. That is not good. So, you know, keep her and her family in your prayers, seriously. People are still bringing up the names, you know, as far as Raw. Shayna Baszler was off TV before the latest outbreak as well. I didn't bring up Bianca Belair because she's on main event. You know, listen instead of just hearing, you know, with all due respect. So we're going to wrap this up in about 10 minutes. Kind of sucks because I want to get into the history stuff. I'm just nervous because it goes over 2 hours. It takes YouTube like 10 minutes to process everything. 10 hours to process everything. Sometimes it's only an hour, and sometimes it's 10 hours. So what do we do, live audience? Do we end this in 10 minutes, or do we go over 2 hours and let everybody else who didn't tune in live wait? Should we just go overtime one more time? But starting next week, I got to trim it down. We got to talk about the history show. We got to talk about a few other things as well. So the Rey Mysterio. No, I don't want to stop the stream and redo it, Johnny Z. That gets a little bit that gets a little bit crazy. You know, as I said earlier, a lot of people out there are all using the CGI letters. You know, never used them before, but now because WWE is planning to use CGI, computer-generated imagery, for the Rey Mysterio Seth Rollins match. Apparently somebody's eye is going to get pulled out of their socket. I don't know how you do this for a young audience. Not everybody that watches WWE is young. I think the median age is over 50. So I don't know what you do about this without creeping anybody out. There's got to be, it's going to be something hokey, in my opinion. Anthony Diaz, I appreciate that super chat. He says that I should go a couple of hours. Nah, you know, look, this will be the last episode that we go overtime for a while. I'd rather just do an extra show during the week if needed than keep running these overtime. Because like I said, I was really ticked off on Wednesday because I stood up for very, very late because I wanted to put the full video, you know, online for, you know, other areas for Patreon, and, you know, I have to download it, and it carried up until Thursday at like 11 a.m. Pissed off. So, you know, this is going to be one of the last times. I think from now on, this is pretty much, you could bank on this. You could bank on this. And this will be the format going forward. Mondays will be Raw recap and WWE news. That's not covered here. That's what Monday's show is from now on. And, anything major that needs to be talked about. Wednesday will be everything except for Raw and SmackDown. And Friday will be a SmackDown recap. The history will be able to sneak in there a little bit. And anything else that's going on in the world of pro wrestling. And then we got Patreon and pay-per-views as well. So that's pretty much going to be the format going forward. So once again, thank you, King of Swan Style, for your comment. I agree, man. A lot of people, they're hijacking the hashtag speaking out, just like they hijacked the hashtag Me Too. There's a lot of people out there that want revenge for being treated like shit. I don't think there's any doubt in anybody's minds that a lot of these women who were scorned were treated like shit, that they were used and probably told promises that, a lot of their partners were not going to keep. And some people get extremely devastated over it. I don't know these two women personally, that one in particular that Matt Riddle says is stalking him. My honest opinion, if I was Matt Riddle and Matt Riddle's wife, and this is still continuing, get an order of protection. If this is as serious as what Matt Riddle is saying, get an order of protection. You're not doing it to hurt the person, but get an order of protection. That will, hopefully end this story on both sides. And that's the thing that's a little amazing also. Jody, Patreon, you could sign up for as little as $2. Mostly everybody there goes for the $5 deal. But basically, if you sign up there, you get ad-free episodes of Monday's show, Wednesday Night Don-O-Mite, the Don Tony show. Get ad-free episodes of all pay-per-view recaps. You also get Patreon exclusive shows. I do one every other week with Mish, Breakfast Soup. Mish and I are strictly Patreon now when we do our joint shows. Kev splits his shows to 4 weeks. 2 of the 4 weeks he does the solo show. The other 2 weeks he does it with a lady friend of his. Once or twice a month I do a solo show to blah, 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 which in a lot of times it's everything except wrestling, but I will cover wrestling if people want me. What are the ads? Commercials. Jonathan. On YouTube, you see commercials. On the audio side, there's all commercials. On Patreon, there's no commercials. There's commercial-free of everything. But not only that, all the Patreon exclusive shows that we do, we have the entire archive, the library there as well. So you have over like 130 episodes of the show that I do at Mish. You have over 100 episodes of Kev's solo show. I also have episodes of the Mass Maniac show up there that are not available online. I have some hotline reports that I did 20 some odd years ago that's available over there. And soon I'm putting up the entire library of the Minority Report and the DTKC show. Right now online, you only have access to like the last 2 years, 2.5 years. So on Patreon, you'll be getting 15 years worth of content as well. So, and yeah, that's right, the pay-per-view predictions contest. They got a big prize wall. If you go to dontony.com and look on the main screen, you'll see one box that says prize wall. We do predictions contests, and you can win some really cool prizes. And some of those prizes are hundreds of dollars. And what's awesome about it is our Patreon family is small. So it's when you enter a contest, it's not like you're entering and there's like 1,000 people also entering. You might only have 100, 150 people participating, even though we have, about 600-700 patrons, only about 1/5 take part in the contest. So you got to, if you think who's going to win at Extreme Rules, then you can participate. And it's pretty cool. So, Cloudy, the archives for the Patreon shows are available for everybody. And the DTKC Minority Report archives, that's also going to be available for everybody. So, but let's see. Let's get into a couple other super chats over here. What happened to the auto? Oh, yes, I agree. Cassette Classics. It's, as I said earlier, WWE. Take note that WWE never mentions 18 to 34. They'll do it in press releases when they announce other business partnerships, but you never see them tweeting about it, posting it on Facebook. They might be proud, like Sasha Banks and Io Shirai had every right to brag about how great that they did numbers-wise, but you see the difference. Tony Khan and Chris Jericho, they mean well. They are supporting AEW, and that's what you want. Even Chris Jericho is an employee. You want people to stand by your product and sell it like it's worth $1 million. But you also got to avoid confrontation, because there are people out there that shit on AEW, are not fans of AEW, and then Tony Khan tweets, and you see those people that don't even like AEW be the first ones to race. They got to be first to give the that gotcha tweet to Tony Khan, like, see, I told you, motherfucker. Tony Khan's got to avoid those people at all costs. He's got to ignore them. He can't fall into that trap. Dixie Carter used to fall into that trap way too much. And Dixie Carter used to overhype announcements. This Week in History is the announcement when they did their ECW reunion show. Mika Oni's. I mean, she used to hype up things on Twitter that were just god-awful. Got a phone call from this person today. Oh, this is going to be a major surprise. And with all due respect to Tommy Dreamer, Tommy Dreamer showing up at 15 different promotions. Him showing up in TNA 6-7 years ago was not a major surprise. Oh, we got Brother Runt. Dave Anthony's telling me not to apologize. Goody, goody, goody. I wasn't the one that came up with that. Somebody else came out. I don't know why people got so offended of it. It's what it was. Daniel-san, how about that homage to Dusty? We got a war. You want a war? I was going to wear my AEW war shirt. I got that shirt, and a lot of people ask me, where did you get it? Where did you get it? They got some store. I got some shirts coming. Oh, my God. I have one shirt. I am praying to God that it arrives by Monday. I don't even want to say what it is. When I wear it, I promise you all, I won't do another episode for a month. When I put this shirt on and people see it, it's such a simple shirt. When you see the front and the back and you realize it's history, I guarantee you people will probably say it is the coolest shirt that I have worn to date. I just hope to God it fits. That's all I'm going to say. It is a retro shirt. It is an original shirt. The shirt is, 37 years old. I have it on its way. So, Roberto, of course it's a war. AEW, didn't treat it as a war. We're just trying to, give people an alternative. WWE, from the first day that they did the announcement, the press conference in the parking lot in Florida. Remember all that? I think Pac showed up in tights, trunks. WWE considered it a war right then and there. We're $1 billion company. We're not going to let any company, like I said Wednesday, they're not going to let any company a chance to get big. They're not going to give bomb threats. They're not going to put a gun to somebody in AEW management and say, close this federation now, or I kill you. No, the only way that they could do it is by having Sasha Banks show up on NXT, by building a great storyline with Karrion Kross and Scarlett Bordeaux, by having Keith Lee win the NXT Heavyweight Championship. And by the way, props to Keith Lee, man. He did few interviews. Since he won the title, he dedicated his win, his match, and the title victory to Killer Tim Brooks, who we paid tribute to last week. He passed away recently. He was the trainer of Keith Lee, and Keith Lee showed a lot of love and respect. There is a very touching video out there if you want to see it. WWE put it out. Keith Lee also talked about how he wants to, basically be the role model for the African-American community. I'd be disrespectful if I didn't read what he said word for word. Keith Lee says, quote, I want to be the representative for African American people, to have someone that looks like them and represents them on the top stage and has top caliber matches. But I also want the world to understand that if you work hard, you can fight your way to this position. This is a position no one saw me in a year ago. Oh, I think a lot of fans did, but most people didn't know. I also want to be the representation that bridges the gap. I don't want people to think I'm special because I'm African American. I want to be a guy globally that people could look up to and say, that's our limitless champion. Class act. I hope people don't forget quickly Adam Cole's record title reign, because Adam Cole, I said last year, was the MVP for pro wrestling last year. He was the MVP for NXT, bar none. He was the wrestler of the year. He put NXT on its shoulders and just worked match after match after match after match, and just top notch across the board. So, no, look, Darren, Keith Lee obviously is not going to represent every black person out there. Not everybody agrees with Keith Lee. Not everybody's a fan of Keith Lee. But Keith Lee is an example to show those, especially black, that if you work hard, you can be in my position. It's not cut and dry. But Keith Lee is, look, when I said a year ago, Keith Lee gives me a Dusty Rhodes vibe, I think a lot of people understood what I said by that. It's not just the physique, but almost like not necessarily a common man, but just like a regular guy that just wants to work hard, good guy. Everybody, just I don't know. So that just, look, I'm not going to debate color because I'm not black. I think your debate, Darren, should be with someone else who's black, who agrees 100% or close to it what Keith Lee said. And, you have that discussion. I'm not the person to have that discussion. But I think I have every right to call him a class act, by the way. And also, Karrion Kross did an interview, and I forget which media outlet it did. It was a pretty big deal. And they asked him, who would you want to fight at WrestleMania? And he brought up Brock Lesnar. And he basically went old school, and he's like, I want to fight the person that creates the most buzz, and, that's old school. So I'm telling you, man, Karrion Kross, we've been supporting him. Donzell Army's been supporting him for a long time. I was doing those Roses of Red, Violets of Blue poems towards Impact Wrestling last year when they were fucking him for that very minuscule amount of royalties that they held on him, which still to this day makes no sense to me. We knew the guy is going to be a star. I mean, you see it. And, of course, I appreciate the fact that, he was a loyal follower of our shows before he even got into wrestling. But, when I say complimentary words about Karrion Kross in the ring, personality, outside the ring, ability, it's because he has those traits. Not because he likes our show. I don't gush either. I tell it like it is. That guy is going to be a huge star. And he's on his way. And the thing I love the most about him in NXT right now that I think a lot of people take for granted is that Triple H and NXT are listening to ideas Karrion Kross is giving them about his character, the extension of his character, the skits, what he wants to portray. A lot of what you see is from the mind of Karrion Kross. And give WWE a lot of credit for giving him that platform so early in his WWE career. Not many people get that luxury. I mean, people will gush for various reasons, but you really have to take notice that when he talks and WWE's listening and they're saying, yeah, let's do it. that's when you're on to something. So I'm excited, man. I can't wait for this COVID to go away because I already talked to my fiance. We're going to Florida. And the reason why we're going to Florida is to spend some time at one of my dad's properties and going to go to NXT. And hopefully I get to go the week that he wins the NXT World title. So we'll see. We will see. See, it would be a fucked up spoiler because, like, people have said to me, like, because people know that I'm going to Florida to hang out. You know, Andrew 914 and a bunch of, friends. My God, Miami, who's tuning in right now. Everybody from Florida that's tuning in right now. I'm going to hang out with everybody. Not just for WrestleMania weekend. We want to go for this, but people said to me, "Hey, if Karrion Kross is going to win the NXT title, would you go see it?" I said, "Of course I would." But how am I going to know? Like, do you think he would tell you in advance? I don't know if he would trust me that much and plus, we don't even know. They may not know if what's going to go down until the night of the pay-per-view. I don't think a lot of these people in advance know exactly what is going to go down. I remember, look, you can't compare WWE to the Indies, but I think the formula is the same in a lot of ways. I remember going to, USA Pro, UXW, XPW, VPW, Jersey All Pro, and in the back, and you see the sheet, and it has all the matches, and it shows, I don't want to get into too much detail, and, for the most part, nobody knows, beforehand. So we'll see what happens. So that was a cool tribute for Keith Lee to Tim Brooks. Also, for those that are interested, everybody is enjoying, for the most part, Dark Side of the Ring. A&E is starting to work on their own documentaries. And a lot of us remember Biography from the 90s. We had some wrestlers do Biography, and those were awesome. You never got sure, they're outdated now. Even though the Andre the Giant one I still watch once in a while. I always get choked up when I see Tim White talking about Andre. But, some of the other ones are outdated, but they're worth a look. If you've never seen it, go do a search online for the Biography documentaries that were done in the 90s. So A&E is coming out with their own. And the only names that I am familiar with that have been announced so far is Booker T, Steve Austin, Shawn Michaels, and Roddy Piper. They've already started production for Steve Austin. A few people have been already interviewed. Apparently WWE is licensing footage for A&E to use in their documentary. So we'll probably get the Steve Austin one first. So you're very welcome, Roberto. You're very welcome. I try to just keep everything real and down to earth over here, just like regular casual conversation. So, sometimes I ramble too long. Sometimes I go way off topic. I apologize about that Kevin Nash clip earlier because that went way off topic. But, I just try to keep it down to earth. And plus, I try to pay attention as much as I can, as to everybody talking, because I can tell when it's time to move on to another topic here and there. So, but I appreciate that. I really do. So, let's see what else. What else could we get into? Maybe we'll get into some history stuff now. I think we should get into it. Now, next Sunday is Extreme Rules. So next Friday, I'll do pay-per-view predictions right here on the Don Tony Show. There will be a predictions contest on Sunday for anybody that wants to sign up on Patreon. Mish and I are doing Breakfast Soup on Patreon this Sunday. We're probably doing it at 4 p.m. Eastern. I know it kind of sounds like a weird time, but we have almost half of our patrons live outside of the United States. Time difference, fluctuates, but it seems that when we do a show in the afternoon, U.S. time, Northeast, Eastern Standard, that it's only, in many areas, only 10 p.m. overseas. So it's early enough where a lot of people internationally could tune in live. So if you're going to be around, join us. If you're a VIP member, you'll be able to send in questions and content. I'll put the thread up probably late tonight on Patreon for our VIPers to send in the content. So let's see. What else? What else? Do we get into? All right, well, Fight for the Fallen is this Wednesday for AEW. They've already announced Mox versus Brian Cage for the AEW title. For the TNT title, Cody versus Sonny Kiss, FTR versus the Lucha Brothers, and the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega versus Jurassic Express. Iffy so far. As far as the card, we'll see. I'll think about it more on Monday. But let's talk about a little bit of history, shall we? Because a lot of people were asking me to bring this back. And again, these pictures don't represent everything that went down this week in wrestling history, but it gives you a good idea of what has gone down. Now, I'm not looking at my notes right now, and I know you can't see me, but just to go from left to right on what you see in the ring, I don't even need notes for this, just to give you an idea. That top left-hand corner was the infamous, when WWF invaded TBS. Georgia Championship Wrestling presents the World Wrestling Federation Black Saturday. I think it was July 14th, 1984. We were used to seeing NWA on the TBS network, and it was this week in 84 that we turned on TBS, and instead of getting Georgia Championship Wrestling, we got the World Wrestling Federation. Very surreal back then to see that. Pretty cool, even though, it didn't last all that long, but that happened in 84. And remember, Vince, the money he got from doing that short stint on TBS, he used that money to finance WrestleMania 1. So, also on the left, the Dingo Warrior, that's when the Ultimate Warrior made his WWF debut. A lot of people always talk about how the Ultimate Warrior's debut match in the WWF was October of 1987. But in actuality, he debuted as the Dingo Warrior, and he took on Frenchie Martin. So that happened this week in 1987. The Giant made his WCW debut in 1995. CM Punk, when he, remember when he did the pipe bomb and then walked out of WWE? Well, he was only gone for a very short period of time because it was this week when CM Punk returned and gave his contractual demands to Vince McMahon. As you could see also, Vince McMahon in the steroid trial of, I think, 1993. Also at that time, and I know I'm kind of jumping a little bit, if you look at the far right, Hulk Hogan revealed in court that he used steroids to get big. This was all of the steroid trial of Vince McMahon. This all went down this week, I think, in 1993. Bray Wyatt made his NXT debut. And even though, look, I can't obviously share with you his NXT debut because I don't want to get hit with any copyright infringement. But what I can do is share with you a little gem that I have shared before. I don't know how many of you have ever heard it, but Bray Wyatt did not originate in NXT. It originated in Florida Championship Wrestling. And before NXT, when he made his debut, he did a little promo. This goes back, my God, 8 years? I think it's got to go 8 or 9 years already. So it makes you wonder as far as like how time flies sometimes. Just think about that. The Bray Wyatt character is already over 8 years old. God bless Bray Wyatt that he has reinvented himself, even though WWE has gone back a little bit with his character, to coincide. Roberto, there's really no reason to talk about Rick Martel all that much this week. unfortunately. But I want to share with you right now Bray Wyatt's first ever promo from Florida Championship Wrestling. When I first heard this, I immediately thought of Forrest Gump. Tell me if Bray Wyatt doesn't sound, especially when he describes, some of his promo, tell me this doesn't remind you of Forrest Gump.
I was raised in Lafayette, Louisiana. My daddy, he's a captain of his own shrimp boat. I hated my daddy. He was a mean old man, my daddy. He took an 8-year-old Bray Wyatt and he pulled him out of school. He didn't think I need to learn with them other kids.
School.
But then randomly one day, my daddy, his boat, it caught on fire. And it sunk him down into the daggone sea with it. And I went away. I went away for a while. But Bray Wyatt, he told himself how to read. And I started
Sorry about the corny music.
And then it was Clifford the Big Red Dog. And then it was the good book mostly after that. And I learned. And I learned a lot of things. I learned how this world likes to throw away a little white trash peon like Bray Wyatt. Let me tell you something. I ain't no white trash, and I ain't no peon either. I am better than you all. And I wouldn't want to be that guy. I wouldn't want to be that guy, that first guy that has to get in the ring with me, man. I wouldn't want to be you. Because I am going to take pleasure in watching you burn, man. Just like my daddy. Come with me. Time is on my side.
There you go. Original Bray Wyatt promo, Florida Championship Wrestling. Yeah, I just picked this up again. Let's see if we could do it again. I don't know if I could do it. Tired, man. Blow! So, yeah, that happened this week in history. So, let's go back to this picture over here. So, do you remember Chris Jericho's TV show Downfall? Well, it went downhill very quickly. It was only like 5 episodes. It was this week in history that it got dropped. Also, this week in history, Vince McMahon not only introduced Eric Bischoff as the GM for Raw, but Stephanie was announced as the GM for SmackDown. His name is Eric Bischoff. Steve Austin, everybody talks about the time when Steve Austin threw out the first pitch for the Mets back in, I think it was 2000. That same week, he threw out the first pitch for the Phillies. Nobody ever brings that up. If anybody that's a big Met fan and goes back to 2000, do you remember the Matt Franco game? I have a feeling people in the Northeast definitely know about the Matt Franco game. The Matt Franco game is the game where Steve Austin threw out the first pitch. I kid you not. So if anybody wants to go check it out. I don't know if footage of the first pitch is there, but yeah, that picture you see there is him with Mike Piazza. Remember Kurt Angle and Steve Austin, Jimmy Crackcorn doing the singing? That happened this week also. If you look to the next far right of that, this week also was when Kurt Angle and John Cena did that little rap battle. That happened this week as well. Wyatt family versus the New Day. The feud with Edge and Kane. As you could see, who could ever forget Lita and WWF Bite This? Remember when Matt Hardy got fired and Lita was having was fling with Edge? And then Lita appeared on Bite This and Matt Hardy called it. I wish I could share that audio on this show right now. But that happened this week. And what's so sad about it is you see the Twitter channels that talk about this week in history or today in history. When I go through the list and you realize everything that happened this week in history, you realize that these Twitter accounts do no research. It is so sad to realize how much history goes by every single day that younger fans will never even know about. This week in history, WWE was forced to pull Muhammad Hassan off television. That was the controversy because of the segment with The Undertaker simulating the beheading. And my God, if you go to my history show that I covered this on, and you get into detail of the bullshit that WWE was trying to sell, saying that it really wasn't a beheading and we weren't trying to imitate terrorists. Oh, it was, I felt bad for Muhammad Hassan. But that week, this week in history, that week, not only did they take Muhammad Hassan off television, but the original promo where Muhammad Hassan came out and ranted about the newspapers talking about him and this and that, and he even talks about, you know, what was going on. He had a lawyer in the ring. And does anybody remember who the lawyer was for Muhammad Hassan? And didn't the lawyer get beat up also? That was Tommaso Ciampa, believe it or not. Tommaso Ciampa was the lawyer during that segment. I have the audio on my history episode if you want to go check it out. Wrapping up these pictures, lower right-hand corner, was Bray Wyatt making his Raw debut. We had the Firefly Funhouse segments going on, and no, I'm not flashing my chest. But we had the Firefly Funhouse segments going on, and then Bray Wyatt made that appearance on Raw and attacked Finn Balor. You know what's interesting, too? We had that segment today where they showed a couple of mugshots of Jeff Hardy. You saw that. They showed like 3 mugshots. You know, they left a few out. And one of these mugshots they actually left out was last year's. They didn't show you the mugshot from 2019. Remember last year when he got arrested in Myrtle Beach? I think he was drinking and they found him passed out. You know, he had an open container or something. That happened last year. That was not one of the mugshots that they showed tonight. And why am I bringing that up? It happened this week in wrestling history. So let's just quickly summarize a couple of things from wrestling history. As I said earlier, 1984, WWF invades TBS for Black Saturday. 1986, Bruno Sammartino and Tito Santana beat Macho Man Randy Savage and Adrian Adonis in a steel cage. The reason why I bring up this match, it was the last ever match that Bruno Sammartino would have at Madison Square Garden. This same week, Harley Race won the second ever WWF King of the Ring. 1987, Ultimate Warrior makes his debut for the WWF as a Dingo Warrior. Now, one thing I want to emphasize, the history show that I did 2 years ago, today, was 4 hours long. The history show I did last year, based on This Week in History, was 3 hours long. Obviously, I can't do 2 or 3 hours or even a half an hour here. Too much to absorb. So we're not gonna get into every little detail. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. I know everybody is enjoying it. I'm just gonna get into the ones that you may want to go check out and maybe see some history for yourself, a couple of things you may not have even been aware of. And I would really appreciate it if you're enjoying the episode that you give the show a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. How many subscribers we have? Almost 14,000. I'm telling you, man, you know, I know the show is getting a lot more exposure on YouTube because it's showing up on searches. And thank you to everybody who is sending me messages and emails, letting me know some pointers here and there. You know, I never realized how detailed this shit is with algorithms and everything like that. I'm just starting to learn that stuff. I thought cameras, backdrop, prepare, have fun, do a show, ratings. Apparently there's a lot more to that. So gotta get used to it. You know, I know you've heard this 1,000 times, but I did audio for 22 years. I'm doing video 5 months. So it's very difficult to transform from audio only to video. And trust me, doing video and be able to just lay in my bed half naked, not really having much notes, even though the last 5 years, all the research that you have to do and the history shows were crazy. But, this is still new. It's going to take me a good year to really get this where I want it to be. That's why I say January 1st, 2021, I think it's going to be the day that this channel goes to the next level. So anyway, Dr. Death Steve Williams beats Big Bubba Rogers to win the UWF title. I know UWF, a lot of people are only getting to know now because of Dark Side of the Ring, so not bad, not bad. 1988, we had that little bit of controversy at the Great American Bash where Lex Luger was defeated by Ric Flair via referee stoppage. It was stopped by the Maryland State Athletic Commission because of the bleeding. So go check that out if you don't know that story. 1991, we had a Great American Bash as well. Lex Luger beat Barry Windham in a steel cage to win the World Heavyweight title. The reason why the 1991 Great American Bash is most famous at that time, thank you very much, King Merc. Much love. Much love. The reason why the 91 Great American Bash is so important because that was the time Ric Flair left with the NWA Heavyweight title and went to the WWF. So we're not only maybe a week or two removed from Ric Flair leaving WCW. So all throughout the night, all you heard chants were, "We want Flair, we want Flair, we want Flair." I have not watched back the 91 Great American Bash since it aired. So I'm curious if those chants have been, kept in there, or I don't know if they've tried to dub it over. Anyone in the chat recently see the 91 Great American Bash or remember? Do you remember if the "We Want Flair" chants are still in there? But that's all you heard. That's all you heard all throughout the night. Let's see. 1992 Great American Bash. Vader defeats Sting to win the WCW Heavyweight Championship. 1995, get lost, fuck you, I hated you, I threw up every time I saw you for years and years and years. I know he was just a figurehead for television, but this week in 1995, WWF fired Jack Tunney. Get off my TV. I could not stand him. Man, I just never liked Jack Tunney. Every time he came out there, it just, god awful. Nothing personal. I never liked him at all. I could not stand him. 1995 as well, WCW had the Great American Bash. This was the one that was outside where Hogan defeated Vader in the steel cage. And if you remember, they had that controversy because of Hogan and Vader. This one doesn't want a job and blah, 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 blah. And if you remember the Roadkill tour that I've talked about where Vader was showing up in indie promotions, just beating the fuck out of people, that set up this match. So when you had Vader showed up in Memphis, I think, a couple of weeks before this. Vader showed up in Memphis, and I think on the same card, Undertaker may have wrestled. So you actually had a WCW wrestler and a WWF wrestler on the same card. For real, for real. Yeah, everybody hit the thumbs up if you're enjoying the show. Definitely helps me. Doesn't cost anything. I would appreciate it. And let's continue. 1996, Heat Wave 96, one of my favorite matches in the history of ECW that about 95% of you have never seen before. It was for the ECW TV title. This was a trivia question on the ECW trivia contest that I was in a couple of weeks ago. I loved this match when it went down. I will never forget the episode of ECW TV for that week. Only had one match, this match. It was Shane Douglas versus Pitbull number 2 versus Too Cold Scorpio versus Chris Jericho for the TV title. Francine turned heel on that. I remember she pulled the dress down and she had that thick black leather, like, I don't even know what you call it, like half bikini that said franchise on it. That was awesome, man. That match went the entire ECW TV episode that happened this week in 1996. 1997 was the debut of the Nitro Girls. My apologies earlier. I thought I had a different clip queued up, but that's what I get for not checking it first. All I saw was Nitro Girls, Kevin Nash. My fault. 1998, another thing. I got to get my hands on this. Back in the 90s, the late 90s, WCW, 1997, 1998 to be exact. And I'm sorry if I'm skimming through this. This is just coming back to me as we're doing this. But some of this I think you're going to find very fascinating. Some of this you never heard of before. 1997 and 1998, and I remember this. I paid for it. WCW came up with an idea that I'm shocked some feds have not used since. They came up with something called pay per listen. What they did was they had WCW, how do I call it? They're house shows, but they were big house shows, big venues. Wasn't pay-per-view, wasn't television. It was pay per listen. I don't know how many of you out there remember Real Audio or Real Media. You remember that? RM files. I have tons of RM files too, and RAM files, RAM files. RAM files were text files. And basically what would happen is you would embed the file, like if you wanted someone to check out, like when I used to put up clips of my shows, it would be in Real Media format. It wasn't WAV or MP3, it was RM format. So you didn't want people to download some of your content. When I used to play entrance music, so what you would do is you would take the file, the name of the file, and you would put it in a text file. You would create a text file, a TXT for like Microsoft, and you would save it as an RAM file. So when you put a link online like, click here to check out my show, if you didn't want people downloading it, you would click on it and it would cause a player to open up. And it would be the real player. And then you would enjoy whatever you were enjoying, but there was no way to download it because the file name was embedded inside the text file. Am I getting that right? Thank you, King Merc, again. This is great, man. This brings back memories. This is 22 years ago, online. So WCW came up with this idea of doing pay per listen. They would charge, I don't remember what it was, maybe $10, maybe it was less. I don't remember the dollar amount. But basically, you would just get to listen to the wrestling event. They would have commentators. I don't remember who the commentators were. They would have wrestlers make appearances. I know Raven would make an appearance. You would have other wrestlers make an appearance. But, yes, Guardian of Chaos. I do remember the NAWA. Bruno is the commissioner. You had some local promotions here in the Northeast that were trying to get some play and get some airtime. And getting Bruno as a grab was always huge. I mean, I remember when Bruno, when he first left WWF, just some of the feds, him, Captain Lou Albano, doing local TV and stuff. But, yeah, all right, yeah, okay. Sam says it was $6.99. So you would click a link. There was no way really to download it. I regret not recording these because I was recording my hotlines back then, never thinking that I would ever be able to stream them on the internet. This is 1998 now. So what I should have done was find a recorder program and record the audio as it was listening. But you got to remember, 1998, things were so primitive. Plus, we were using 56K modem. My God, anyone out there that doesn't even know what 56K modem is, go on YouTube and just type in 56K modem. They will show an example of how long it would take for a picture to load on your screen. And then you'd see it now. You want to see porn now? And you click, like you want to see a naked picture of someone, you click a button now, you see it in 1/100th of a second. Back then, you would see the head, then you'd see the feet, and then you might see like part of the nipple, and then you'd see the belly button, then you get the neck, and then it would take about 40 seconds for the picture to load. By that time, you're not in the mood anymore. You're like, fuck it. It's crazy, man. How many years gone by? So anyway, WCW this week had their last pay-per-listen event. It was called LA Melee, happened in California, and you got to pay a couple of bucks to listen to the matches. Not watch them, but listen. Let me read you the card, just to give you an idea how good these were. You had Booker T over Fit Finlay to retain the WCW TV title. Eddie Guerrero beat Chavo Guerrero Jr. You had a six-man tag match of Ciclope, Juventud Guerrera, and Psychosis defeat Damian Villano number 4 and Villano number 5. Ultimo Dragon defeats Dean Malenko. For the WCW Cruiserweight title, Chris Jericho, who was the champion at the time, defeated Rey Mysterio by disqualification. Conan defeats Vincent, Virgil. Kevin Nash and Lex Luger defeat Bret Hart and the Giant by disqualification. For the WCW World Heavyweight Championship, Goldberg retains the title, defeating Kurt Hennig. And the main event, Sting defeats Hollywood Hulk Hogan in a steel cage. It's not a bad card, man. And, you know, the pay-per-listen, I'm telling you, I'm surprised some promotions out there have not offered an audio-only version. $5, audio only. I'm telling you, there'll be hundreds, if not thousands of people that, you know, don't want to spend 20, 30, 40 bucks to buy an iPay-per-view. Offer audio only for $5. It's not going to be difficult to stream live. My God, you could stream it through a YouTube page. Oh, man. That was an awesome card. How many of you even knew that existed? There's a couple of matches floating around. Somebody had a camcorder in the crowd. The matches, the footage is horrible. But, you know, you get to see it. I mean, it's pretty cool. Somebody online claimed to have had all these pay-per-listen files. And I remember the guy still has a Twitter account. And I remember him saying, you know, I'm posting everything. I'm going through my hard drive. I just got to convert the files. And I remember I contacted the guy like 2 years ago, and I said, listen, it takes 5 minutes to convert these files. I mean, if you don't know how to do it, send me the files. And no. Then I realized he's full of shit. He didn't have nothing. Fucking liar. 1998, WCW for you. They had a hair versus hair match. Chavo Guerrero Jr. versus Eddie Guerrero. Chavo loses. Chavo cuts his own hair. The infamous match of Hollywood Hulk Hogan and Dennis Rodman versus DDP and Karl Malone also took place this week in history. Did you know this? Bet you did. 1998. Well, maybe you did if you checked out the history shows. Yeah, 1-900-909-9900. Still hear Gene Okerlund's voice now. Yeah, I love it that we have more listeners now live than even a half hour ago. So I'm glad everybody's enjoying this. Like I said, this will be the last one that we go long with. But look, if there's a way to do it, maybe I'll bring back the history shows as a separate show. Just a shame that I can't share the clips. You know, I was honestly thinking about contacting WWE and asking them, can I play just audio, not show video? Maybe I'll ask them. Who knows, man? Maybe I'll get permission. You know, the problem is, this is what people need to understand. You run into the dangerous territory. If I give you permission, then I got to give this person permission, and I got to give this person permission, and I got to, you know, it happens in every type of business. So, anyway, 1998, WWF on their website, WWF.com, they actually debuted their own internet broadcast. I don't know if you couldn't call it a podcast in 1998, but it streamed live at 8 p.m. It was called Code Red. It was hosted by Kevin Kelly, Tom Pritchard, and some Matarats called the Mat Rat. I don't remember the Mat Rat's name. I actually had it written down before and I deleted it. I could care less who he was. But basically, Code Red was going to be WWF's like internet show before Monday Night Raw. And I want to read to you the press release that I got from Code Red, which I had in my hard drive that you cannot find online anymore. Check this out. By the way, yes, everybody, if you're enjoying the show, I appreciate if you could hit the like button. That's all I ask. I'm going long because you all want it. So if you're enjoying it, that would be nice in return. Did you know that Shawn Michaels on Code Red discussed his favorite porn flicks with Mr. McMahon? Did you know that? That happened on Code Red. We'll never get the footage of that. They had Valfest 1998 at Shawn Michaels' house. This Monday's Code Red Fully Loaded will be the score. Exclusive video. Let's see. Slow motion instant replay of Sable or Jacqueline's bombs from the pay-per-view. I think you could figure out what the bombs stood for. Let's see. Shawn Michaels makes a surprise appearance. Let's see. Code Red will take a 2-hour break. Okay, so this was the deal. It started at 8 o'clock. At 8, this is pretty cool. Code Red started at 8 p.m. on WWF.com. At 8:57, because they're about to go on the air with Raw and go head-to-head with Nitro, they would go off the air for 2 hours. They had chat rooms at the time, not like your chat rooms are now. And then after Raw went off the air at 11 o'clock, they wanted you to go back to WWF.com and add a post-Raw episode. That went on for a very short period of time. See, WWF would never bring up the details on this now because there was a lot of very adult conversation on it. But it's too bad that, and look, I'm all for adult conversation, but it's too bad that it was so adult at the time and very raunchy, because you go back and if they were to ever cover this, you realize that WWF was very ahead of their time. 8 o'clock p.m., internet show. From 8 to 8:57 p.m. with chat rooms. Go off the air while Raw is on, and when Raw goes off the air, you go right back on WWF.com and you get the internet post-show again. Does that sound like the format for a lot of podcasters right now? WWF was doing that in 1998, and they stopped it after a very short period of time. So that happened this week in 1998. Code Red debuts for WWF. 1999, Jesse Ventura, they made the announcement that he would return to WWE as a special referee for SummerSlam. As I said earlier, Steve Austin throwing out that first pitch for the Yankee game. 2000, ECW had Heat Wave 2000 in California. Always known for a few wrestlers from XPW sitting at ringside. And then we had some controversy. Christy Mist, gets into it with Francine. Some of the ECW wrestlers have a fight in the parking lot with XPW wrestlers. I know I can share this. So, do you ever hear Rob Black's explanation as far as what went down? Now, he has done podcasts since and talked about this for 20, 30, 40 minutes. Obviously, we don't have that time now. But I'm going to give you just 3 or 4 minutes of Rob Black's explanation at the time of what went down this week in 2000 when XPW showed up at ECW Heatwave 2000 on pay-per-view.
I would like to make some comments about the incident that took place at the ECW pay-per-view July 16th. I would also like to comment about what I had in my hand, these papers, these court papers. But before that, I must take off this stupid headset. I must take off this stupid hat. And actually, I must take off this stupid banner. You see, because that's what you, Paul Heyman, you, ECW, that's what you guys do. So you can look important. So people can think you're important. But I don't need to wear these things to be important. I am important. I'm the CEO of XPW. And that, my friend, speaks volumes. So you know what? Let's start with this. United States District Court. Okay, here you go. HHG Corp, aka ECW, against XPW, Extreme Professional Wrestling, against Sabu. You see, this lawsuit is also for Sabu. This lawsuit is against me and Sabu because I'm using Sabu, but Paul Heyman claims Sabu is under contract. But yet, missed countless payments, didn't give him pay-per-view money, all these things. True. So I use Sabu, this man who needs to work, who needs to create a life for himself in wrestling. And that man, Paul Heyman, you prevent him. But you see, I got the balls. I got the balls to use Sabu. I got the balls to take this lawsuit you got against me. In this lawsuit, you want us to stop using the name Extreme. You want to audit my books. You want money derived from us using the name Extreme. You own Extreme. You own the name Extreme. Paul Heyman, in your words, this is a shoot. You don't own Extreme. There's other Extremes out there, and we will continue to be Extreme. In this lawsuit, I can wipe my ass with your lawsuit. Secondly, July 16th, the Heat Wave pay-per-view. We go there. 4 wrestlers and the beautiful Christy Mist. They sit in the front row. They sit at your pay-per-view with their XPW shirts, but they didn't wear the XPW shirts the way they wanted to because you people wouldn't let them. There was WWF shirts, WCW shirts, but no, you wouldn't let us wear our XPW shirts. And a couple of the ring guys, what were they doing there? Handing out flyers in the parking lot, flyering the cars. That's what they were there. What were the wrestlers, Supreme and Christy Mist and Messiah and Kid Chaos, what were they doing there? They were there to show up because you're in our backyard. Why? Why, Paul Heyman? You could have came here a year ago, but you didn't. You could have came here a year and a half ago, but you didn't. But you decided to come here now. Your company is almost broke. You don't pay your boys. And here you come with that expense in our backyard. Why? Because XPW, because you're afraid. You're a punk. You're afraid of XPW. You're afraid of the real movement. You're afraid of the mirrored image of the hunger and the drive that you and your company had 7 years ago. And you see now that fire is burning in XPW. And that's what we got. And that's what we're doing. So what happens? Christy Mist stands up. She undoes her leather jacket to reveal a beautiful bikini top. She's a little hot. And what happens? Francine goes nuts. That little crap goes next. I'm sorry, you got me so riled up, I don't know what to say anymore. She goes nuts. Screams to security. Security come over. Our boys take off our shirts to reveal the XPW. And what happens, Paul Heyman? All your wrestlers from the locker room come out and start swinging. You, Paul Heyman, you start swinging. Is there any way to act as a company owner, as somebody that's already been thrown off one network, is trying to find another network? You are punching people. You and your boys are risking lawsuits because there is a lawsuit coming, Paul Heyman. Police charges have been filed. A lawsuit is commencing. You got a lawsuit against me. I got a lawsuit against you. Join the club. Because let me tell you, you throw them out of the building, that's all right. You don't want them there, that's all right. But when in the parking lot, those that lump of Big Sal, that nobody who couldn't even be a jobber in the WWF or Stampede Wrestling for that matter, and you start beating up ring crew guys, you don't go after Supreme, you don't go after Messiah, you don't go after Kid Cash, you go after a couple of the 140-pound ring crew guys. That's what you do. That it makes you proud, and you're screaming in the parking lot, XPW! Hey, you, my friend, you made it to a bigger deal than it was. And you, my friend, attacked a ring girl, one of our girls, one of our poor, helpless ring girls who go and do flyers and work for us for free. You struck her. She's got police charges against you. You struck a couple of our ring guys. They got police charges against you. Let me tell you something, Paul Heyman. I dare you to come back to L.A. So you know what? Everybody, all your shills, your OneWrestling.coms, your Joey Styles, you could call up WOW Magazine and protest them giving us coverage. Protest us having our girls in that magazine. You can do whatever you want, because you know what? You're scared. You are so damn scared, because your company and you are a piece of shit, and you're just floating in that toilet. And us at XPW are going to flush you, the piece of shit, right down the toilet. Because I guarantee you this, we will be around a lot longer than you. Because this is XPW. This is the new generation. You have created a war. So bring it on.
Well, he was factually correct that they did outlast ECW, because ECW closed in 01. XPW was done in 02. Well, really 03. And, yeah, I know I did it, right? I tell you, I have nothing but fond memories working for XPW when they were in the Northeast, man. So many memories. It was awesome. But tell you, that was surreal at the time. It was absolutely surreal. And the interesting thing about it is, this goes to what I've been saying for quite a while now. You look at Sonya Deville, you look at Eddie Kingston, you look at others. When people talk from the heart and the soul, and they talk about real life, and they get passionate about it, they turn out to be some entertaining fucking promos. When you don't have to go by a script and something actually it affects you personally, you seem to be able to, you see it. You see, look at Heath Slater's promo from Monday. Sonya Deville's, with the whole storyline she's doing with Mandy Rose. You see Eddie Kingston. Eddie Kingston, a lot of his promos are based on real life. I try to spread it out across different promotions. So everything that Rob Black was saying, a lot of it was true. I don't remember people pressing charges or anything like that. There was a lot of threats. But, you know, it was very interesting at that time. And, again, much love to everybody who's tuning in live right now. I'm not trying to say that live is better than down archive, but, you know, the fact that everybody's sticking around and enjoying this, I really didn't know how bringing back the history show was going to work here on YouTube, especially since I can't put 99% of the footage that I want to put on here. So, anyway, 2001, that was when Kurt Angle sang that Jimmy cracked corn. 2002, Vince McMahon announces Eric Bischoff as the Raw GM, Stephanie as the SmackDown GM. 2003, the rap battle between John Cena and Kurt Angle, where Kurt Angle said, you know, you don't scare me. No, no, no. I may suck, but you just blow. If you've never seen the rap battle from 03 with Kurt Angle and John Cena, that photo I showed you earlier, Kurt Angle was fucking funny as hell, man. It was funny. 2005, Matt Hardy makes his return after being gone from the WWE for 3 months. This week also happened to have Lita on WWE Bite This. This was all, and if you remember at that time, you know, Matt Hardy was teasing Ring of Honor, he was teasing this, and, you know, it all happened this week in 2005. 15 years ago that shit went down. 15 years ago. And I have Matt Hardy's original, you know, rant. You know, I'm looking at it right now. You know, he said, you know, after he returned, he said, if you guys are ready for a ride, jump the fuck on. I promised you fireworks, so I hope I didn't disappoint. As of July 11th, 2005, today, 15 years ago, my personal Independence Day, the movement has begun, and the movement's purpose is twofold. Purpose one, to never let anyone control what Matt Hardy says and does and thinks. Purpose two, to make Adam Copeland, Amy Dumas, and the WWE regret what they did to me and what they did to us. It's time for Matt Hardy to stand up for all the MFers that have been chanting, we want Matt, and you screwed Matt. Although you may not know this, you guys, but the MFers started the movement months ago. I can now finally join the movement because I'm no longer controlled by the WWE, the McMahons, the Johnny Aces, and all of the WWE management can kiss my ass. I did what I did tonight because for me live, 5 with myself, Adam Feces Copeland, must pay. I'm not going to let the WWE forget that they fucked up when they released me instead of that scumbag homewrecker. And Amy Duma, you know what it's like to have me as your closet alley, your closest alley, closest alley, but you're going to hate to see what it's like to have me as your worst enemy, bitch. Even though I didn't slash your tires, slashing tires are going to be the least of your problems. Bank on it. A little message to the whore, the feces, and the horseshit family that is the WWE. Matt Hardy is like cancer. I don't go away, and you won't find a cure. I thank everyone that has been supporting me through thick and thin. I promise to always be there for my MFers. I love you guys, and I always say without you, there is no me. I'm going to turn a hugely negative situation into something that will benefit us. If you don't want to be able to predict what happens, you're all in for a treat. It goes on and on and on. He says, don't forget to catch Matt Hardy this Friday, Indiana, Pennsylvania. He says, you don't know where I'm going to show up next. It was pretty cool. It was absolutely pretty cool. So glad I saved a lot of this stuff. 2005 was the controversy of pulling Muhammad Hassan off of television. We had to bite this episode when Matt Hardy called in and confronted Lita. Let's see, 2006, Larry Zbyszko loses a hair versus hair match against Raven at TNA Victory Road. The main event that night was Sting defeating Samoa Joe, Scott Steiner, and Christian Cage for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. 2006, WWE presented Saturday night's main event. Batista, Bobby Lashley, and Rey Mysterio defeated King Booker, Finlay, and Mark Henry. 2007, let's see, 2007, we had Kurt Angle and Samoa. Oh, this was funny. TNA 2007 Victory Road pay-per-view. Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe defeated Team 3D in a match of champions to win the TNA tag titles. And then the pre-match stipulations, the winner of the fall won the losers championship. Since Samoa Joe won the fall, he won the tag titles for himself and Kurt Angle. Samoa Joe decides, I don't want my tag partner to have the title. So Samoa Joe walks off with both belts, and he is the only champion. He's the only champion. 2009, superstar Billy Graham auctions off his WWE Hall of Fame ring on eBay, gets $11,500. 2010, ABC cancels Chris Jericho's game show Downfall after 5 episodes, as I said before. Did you know that it is the 10-year anniversary of Chasen Rance being arrested at 25 years old at the time, which makes him now 35. He got arrested at 25 years old for having sexual relations with a 15-year-old. And a lot of the Chasen Rance controversy still exists today. And a lot of pressure. People trying to get certain individuals in MLW out of the company. 2010, same week, Dixie Carter and Tommy Dreamer announced that instead of the upcoming Hard Justice taking place, they renamed it Hardcore Justice. And they would have their ECW reunion show, as you remembered. 2010, Jay Lethal defeated Ric Flair at Victory Road. And this was right around the time that Jay Lethal was doing the Ric Flair impersonations on TNA. I think a lot of you out there remember that. Happened the last 2 weeks, 10 years ago. You see anybody online talking about that? All of this history went down. You might see people bring up 2 or 3 things. Look at all the stuff that they don't bring up. You'll never hear it because nobody wants to do the work. 2011. I'm surprised she's not going to bring it up. This week, 9 years ago, Brandy Rhodes made a pro wrestling debut. She debuted for Florida Championship Wrestling's Slamorama event. She wrestled under the name Eden Styles, and she was part of a 7-woman match and lost to Sonya. Other participants in the match was Oksana, Audrey Marie, Raquel Diaz, Caitlin, and Christina Crawford. People saying, continue. I'll keep going. Hit the like button. I'll keep going. How's that? I can't believe, why is it so hard for people? I'm just curious. Look, I will never force anybody to like something if they don't like it. But I'm curious. You know, people want to tell me privately, PM me on Twitter. My PMs are open. My DMs are open. Email me. I'm just curious why some people don't. I'm just, but you know what's funny? When the archive comes up, like the second time around, tons of people, like it ends up with like 300, 400, 500 likes. I'm just curious when it's live. You know what I think it is, honestly? I think a lot of you out there are just sitting back, relaxing, maybe not even looking at the screen, because I'm not doing anything goofy right now worth looking at. Plus, I'm not that pleasurable to look at, I don't have a nice rack or anything. So maybe you're just sitting back listening. I don't want to reach over to the keyboard. So, but anyway, let's start taking this home, everybody. So Brandy Rhodes made her debut 9 years ago. Maybe one of you out there, if you're a big AEW fan, surprise her with that. You don't have to say I said it. Say, hey, Brandy, happy anniversary. 9 years ago, you made your wrestling debut, your in-ring debut. Anyway, in case you're curious, the Sonya that she lost to, that is Sue Young, who is married to Rich Swann. Audrey Marie, I think she's still married to Tyler Breeze. Christina Crawford is the sister of Alicia Fox. Raquel Diaz is Shaul Guerrero, the daughter of Vicky Guerrero and the wife, I believe still, of Aiden English. Into a little research here. 2011, unfortunately, Scott Hall checked himself into a Florida jail. He began his sentence 10 days from an arrest from 2010. Let's see, 2011, another AEW-related thing. This week in 2011, Generation Me, Nick and Matt Jackson, after the pay-per-view match, they had a Destination X with Eric Young and Shark Boy. They requested and were granted their release from TNA. So the Young Bucks, this week, 9 years ago, requested and was granted their release from TNA Wrestling. This week as well, 2011, CM Punk, infamous promo, shitting on New York. Well, actually, no, he was shitting on Boston, if I remember correctly. And he talked about John Cena, and he said that John Cena became the New York Yankees. Anybody remember that promo? He said that John Cena he was now the New York Yankees. I think CM Punk also demanded an apology from Vince McMahon. I apologize, you son of a bitch. It's late. My throat's a little sore. 2011, Impact, Sting defeats Mr. Anderson to win the TNA Heavyweight Championship. 2012, who remembers Tout? 8 years ago, WWE made this $5 million investment in Tout. Remember the Tout videos? See how quickly that went downhill? 8 years ago already. Tout, remember Tout? 8 years ago. This week in 2012, Karma, Kia Stevens, Awesome Kong, she was released from the WWE. This week in 2012, Bray Wyatt made his NXT debut, as I said earlier. He defeated Aiden English in his debut. 2013, it's 7 years already, the WWE opened up the Performance Center. 2014, CM Punk is released from WWE. 2015, the women's revolution begins. This week, 5 years ago, Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch, and Charlotte all made their main roster debut for the WWE. 5 years ago. This week, 5 years ago, WWE had the second round of the Cruiserweight Classic. It's already been 5 years already, everybody. The Cruiserweight Classic, 5 years. Here's the match results from the second round. See how many of these names have gone further and how many have drifted away. Grand Metalik over Tajiri. Kota Ibushi over Cedric Alexander. Akira Tozawa over Jack Gallagher. Noam Dar over Ho-Ho Lun. Brian Kendrick over Tony Nese. Rich Swann over Lince Dorado. Zack Sabre Jr. over Drew Gulak. TJP over Johnny Gargano. This week in 15, I didn't get a chance to pull it. You know the infamous photo where TNA rented out a 5,000-seat baseball stadium and only drew 135? Happened this week, 2015. I got the photo. I'm going to pull it. I'll share it with all of you next week. 2016, Brock Lesnar beats Mark Hunt by unanimous decision. 6 days later, the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency announces Brock Lesnar tested positive. So he was forfeited. He had to forfeit 10% of his purse, which was $250,000. That's what he forfeited. He got $2.5 million. He would also be suspended 1 year by the Nevada State Athletic Commission. Why am I bringing this up? Since it's UFC. WWE at that time, 2016, was asked what they're going to do about Brock Lesnar. He just tested positive. I don't remember exactly what he tested positive for. Somebody saying hydroxychloroquine. It's an anti-estrogen. I think it's a masking agent. So this week in 16, people start asking WWE, what are you going to do about Brock Lesnar? He just tested positive. UFC suspended him for a year. WWE said that they don't test Brock Lesnar because they don't drug test part-time employees. Did you know that? I don't know if anybody knew that. Figured I'd share it with you. Same week, 2016, the Hardys and the New Day battle at the Wyatt family compound. 1 year ago, Jeff Hardy is arrested on Myrtle Beach, as we talked about earlier. 1 year ago, Roman Reigns wins an ESPY award for his return on Raw when he announced that he is back from leukemia. And 1 year ago, we had the Extreme Rules pay-per-view. Match results from that night. Shinsuke defeated Finn Balor to win the Intercontinental Championship. Drew Gulak retains the Cruiserweight title, defeating Tony Nese. The Undertaker and Roman Reigns defeated Shane McMahon and Drew McIntyre in a no-holds-barred tag match. The Revival over the Usos to retain the tag titles. Aleister Black over Cesaro. Bayley retains the SmackDown Women's Championship, defeating Nikki Cross and Alexa. My God. 1 year ago, this still doing the same shit. 1 year ago, Bayley defeated Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss in a handicap match to retain the SmackDown Women's Championship. Braun Strowman defeated Bobby Lashley in the Last Man Standing match. And in a triple threat tag match for the SmackDown tag titles, the New Day defeated, oh my God. Oh yeah, I got it. Daniel Bryan, Eric Rowan, and Heavy Machinery. AJ Styles with Gallows and Anderson over Ricochet to win the United States Championship. Kevin Owens over Dolph Ziggler. Kofi Kingston over Samoa Joe to retain the WWE Championship. Seth Rollins, oh my God, who remembers this? Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch in a last chance winners take all Extreme Rules mixed tag match for both the WWE Universal Championship and the Raw Women's Championship. They defeated Baron Corbin and Lacey Evans. Do you remember how horrendous that feud was and that match was? That happened 1 year ago this week. In the main event from that night, Brock Lesnar cashes in his Money in the Bank briefcase, defeats Seth Rollins to become the WWE Universal Champion. And as I mentioned earlier, it was this week, 1 year ago, Bray Wyatt shows up on Raw after the Firefly Funhouse segments, and he attacks Finn Balor to go have Raw go off the air. So there you go, man. There you go. That was This Week in Wrestling History. Very detailed, a lot of memories. Pretty cool that I really didn't have to do much research. You know, when you actually follow history and you start talking about it, a lot of things come back. A lot of little specifics come back. Big difference from reading it and actually knowing it or experiencing it. I don't ever criticize young fans who are not around during a lot of history. But if you're going to go down that road and you're going to, you know, do history shows, you can't simply just do Google searches. Write down cut and paste the info, read it, and hey, I'm doing history. You got to watch it, understand it, experience it, and you got to do a lot of research as well. These shows were brutal to put together. And I'm not even including all the audio stuff that we used to do. But it was a lot of fun. I could never put that workload in now. That's crazy. That's crazy stuff, man. Could never put that workload in now. But a lot of history. And again, it's you know what's going to happen. You know, you'll see people post on their history channels, oh, the women's revolution, 5 years ago today. You might see one or two things that I just mentioned, but for the most part, all that's going to be ignored. And for everybody out there, if you enjoyed or if you found interesting some of the things that I brought up, go seek it out and go experience it. I think you'll really enjoy it. So with that said, I thank you all for tuning in tonight. It is 1:17 a.m. I was certain to be done by 12:05. So I am hoping to God that YouTube processes this rather quickly and puts it online rather quickly. But as I said, starting next week, I have to really condense these. The shows have to stay under 2 hours. It's not just the processing part of it, but, I get up every morning at 6:30. And it's very, very hard, especially when you get older, to stay up. Once I'm done now, I still got to edit, put things online, put it on multiple areas. I won't be sleeping until like 3:30 in the morning, minimum. So, if this was a weeknight, I got to get up in less than 3 hours. So, but I thank you, as always, for tuning in. If you enjoy the channel, I would appreciate it if you subscribe. If you have any friends that you think would like this channel and check out this stuff, please let them know about it. On the YouTube page, please post your feedback. Be honest. I don't get offended. If you're straight up honest with me and you don't like certain things, just tell me. But, if you really liked the return of the history show, if it's that big, then maybe we'll do that as a separate podcast going forward. And I'm seriously going to consider contacting WWE to see if I could get some permission to share some audio. I don't know to what extent I could do it. I don't know for how long I could, play clips, but just audio. I want to see what their reaction is. I haven't talked to WWE's legal team for 15 years, as we discussed last week. But if I could share some clips, it would make the show so much more fun. And I would definitely do it as a separate show, because we could just add so much more stuff to it. But I will tell you this much. The non-WWE clips, the non-TNA clips, and AEW as well, other clips will be able to be played. I just have to give proper credit to, where it's due. But, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to bring this back. I honestly thought I was never going to be bringing this back, but I had so many people over the last couple of months tell me, bring back the history show, bring back the history show. And what's good about it is I did so much research for those 2 years. I really only have to research 2019, really just 2019, unless there's a couple of things that I may have missed, in previous years. But I think I covered it pretty in depth. And I also left things out tonight. There's a couple other little ones, hair versus mask matches, debuts, deaths, birthdays. We didn't even get into any of that. So, but I'm going to jet out of here for tonight. I thank everybody for tuning in. Once again, I appreciate it if you could subscribe if you're enjoying the channel. If you enjoyed tonight's show, please give it a thumbs up. And I'm out of here. So if you are on Patreon, Sunday afternoon, yours truly and Mish will be up at least 2 hours giving you the breakfast soup. It'll be the Sunday sauce edition of breakfast soup. Us Italians, we call... Have you ever gone to an Italian restaurant, even if you're not Italian? Have you ever gone to an Italian restaurant and you see on the menu on a Sunday, it'll say the specials, Sunday sauce? My family, when I was younger, we would always have a big meal, especially on Sundays. And my mom would make Sunday sauce. And it's almost across the board with all Italians. Giant pot of sauce usually gets put up the night before. And she puts meatballs in it, sausage, sometimes pork neck bones. I remember my father used to love pork neck bones and pasta or lasagna, stuffed shells. Sometimes she would fry some veal cutlets as well. When you saw the scene from Goodfellas where, he's making the gravy, well, they call it gravy. I don't call it gravy. I hate the term gravy. But when you see him rolling the meatballs and doing the veal cut, that's exactly what we used to do. They call it Sunday sauce. So some Italian restaurants, as a special on Sundays, they'll offer you Italian sauce, Sunday sauce. So if you ever go to an Italian restaurant, anybody out there, and you ever go on a Sunday, sometimes they offer it on a Saturday, but it's usually just Sunday, and they tell you on a special that they have Sunday sauce. Usually for restaurants, what Sunday sauce is, it's a plate of pasta, and over the plate of pasta is homemade tomato sauce, usually with meat in it, homemade meat sauce, and they'll put on top one meatball, one big sausage, and a lot of restaurants will put a brajol. If you don't know what a pork or a beef brajol is, it's basically a flat piece of meat, and they stuff it with, I don't know, cheese, peppers, whatever. So I don't know what I don't like brajols. Then they roll it up, they tie it with string, and this way in the sauce, because the pork gets very, very tender, if you don't tie it with string, it'll just break into a million pieces. So they'll put on the top of the plate of pasta meat sauce, a meatball, sausage, and maybe a brajol. And they charge you whatever they charge you. So since it's Sunday, we're really going to call it Sunday sauce with 2 meatballs. Yours truly and Mish with 2 meatballs. And I might actually make a little plate of pasta. So we'll see. All right, everybody. Much love as always. I thank you. Before we go tonight, I guess maybe one more time. We'll do it one more time. Let's see if I can nail it. Was that what Kyrie Sane was playing Monday? That's the only reason why I got this in my head. That's the only reason why I had that in my head. I mean, I could actually do like... Wait, I don't know if I could do it now. No, I can't. I gotta get some shut-eye, man. Everyone, good night. Take care. Much love as always. Hit the like button. I'm out. Ciao.
Don-O-Mite.
It was fun to channel surf. It was kind of hard to do a little pocket pool after hitting the last channel button 50 times for 2 hours plus.
Don-O-Mite.
And his whole idea of overanalyzing, oh, he's an alcoholic and he misplaced the belt. And how could you have someone champion like that? The fuck out of here.
Wednesday night.
Don-O-Mite. You can have fun. You really are.